Men and women serving our nation in the Persian Gulf and throughout the world, please join in the singing of our national anthem. The anthem will be followed by a flyover of F-16 jets from the 56th Tactical Training Wing at MacDill Air Force Base and will be performed by the Florida Orchestra under the direction of Maestro Yaha Ling and sung by Grammy Award winner Whitney Houston.
Folks, you are listening to Smith Radio with Brian Smith and
Kerry Smith,
giving you all the late-breaking news of last week, wrapping it all up. We're doing some really fancy things with the technology today. Hope that came off really well. If the sound needs to be adjusted at all, please go ahead and just say, hey, do something with that sound, man.
I know. We're still trying to kind of finagle it, fidget with it.
Fidget with it a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the thing is I hate to get inside baseball here, but there's like 7 different knobs that do the volume. Right. It could be a gain, or it could be a master volume, or it could be an individual volume, or it could be one of the daisy chain pieces of equipment that we have that also control a volume. So there's like 3 different master volumes.
And there's another volume on. There's another volume on top of that. It's a gain on top of that's connected to the Spreaker app. For Periscope,
right?
Alone,
right. Yeah, it's okay. We don't need to bother you guys with details about that kind of stuff.
Hey, if this is the first time listening, thank you so very much. This is Smith Radio, military veteran talk radio. Kerry was in the Marine Corps. I served in the Air Force, and we come at you like that with our politics, our love for our country, our patriotism, and standing for the American flag. In case you didn't know what today's show was about.
We have so much.
People are fired up.
Well, this is one of them weird weeks. Normally, the way the news goes down is there's like one overall dominating thing that happened, an event that made the news the whole week, and then we just really hammer down on it. And then there'll be a couple other news items that we just kind of touch on because it happened that week. This week's a little different. We have like 7 different topics that all by themselves, each individually, could be considered a top media item of the week. And they all happened on the same week. So it's kind of like we're just going to have to, see what we can get out and kind of go through things quickly, give you our analysis on it, which is second to none. I mean, there's very few people that give you analysis like we do. We leave no stone unturned, but there's a lot of things we have to talk about this week. So what are the things? I think the biggest one, today we got the NFL kneeling for the national anthem. It's a big deal simply because it's the NFL. And here in America, for those of you international listeners, the NFL to America is like football for the rest of the world. It's like, it's really emotional for a lot of people. It's big time. It's like more important than anything else to a lot of people. And we're going to find that out. We're going to find out just how important it is, because there are people who are die-hard NFL fans, some of whom I was serving in the military with at one time in the Marine Corps. I mean, these are people that, NFL is everything. But they're really, really patriotic. Really patriotic. They serve their country. They didn't do it because they needed money for college, and they didn't do it because they were losers and couldn't go to college or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, these were people that loved, that still do love their country, and they also love the NFL, and now they're going to be put to the test. And I am glad to put the magnifying glass on those people, because I hope they do the right thing. What do you think? Which is continue to watch the NFL.
No, it's heartbreaking. Folks, I loved football growing up as a kid. And if you catch some of our scopes, speaking about that, folks, carry scopes daily. I've been attempting to try to scope daily as well. Catch our scopes, because there'll be a culmination of ideas for the show that happens every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. There's two different places to catch our show live. You can be on Spreaker, which is where the platform that goes to iHeartRadio. But the shortcut to that is smithradio.info. If you go to smithradio.com, there's all kinds of red buttons. Look for the red buttons. They'll take you to where you need to go.
Yeah, just to let you know the difference real quick, smithradio.info is literally a shortcut to our homepage at Spreaker. smithradio.com is actually like the blog, the website for Smith Radio.
Right. And catch us live here on Periscope at Brian P. Smith, and catch Carrie's Scopes every day at Smith Radio on Twitter. Follow both of us, put notifications on, and you'll catch our scopes. So Earlier this week on my scope, I talked about this, and I talked about football for a minute. As a kid growing up in the 80s, in Cincinnati, there just wasn't a better time for football. It wasn't a better time to be alive than having the quarterback, Kenny Anderson, and then my favorite as a child, Chris Collinsworth, who you've seen as a commentator now, very respectful, very poignant, very just sophisticated. I mean, he's just an all-around good, sophisticated kind of guy with excellent insight. And then you had Boomer Esiason.
He's out there now, too, doing stuff.
And Boomer Esiason was blasting the original Colin Kaepernick BS. And in his, the camera caught him walking through the hallway, and he said, I cannot use the words that I would like to use to describe Colin Kaepernick and the situation at hand.
Wow.
He was truly upset. You could see that. And growing up, when we would play pickup football out in the backyard, we never played tag. It was full-on contact. It was a tackle with no shoulder pads, no helmets, no nothing. And I'd always pretend that I was Chris Collinsworth going out for the long ball. We'd call each other different names of our favorite players as we played outside. And, man, I just don't see that anymore. I don't see that today like we had it.
Well, I mean...
So I'm emotional about this whole damn thing for sure.
Yeah, okay. So I've been brainstorming it. So basically what happened is for the past couple of months, and wasn't it into last season, Colin Kaepernick was deciding that for political reasons, I guess, he thought that it would be right for him to not stand for the national anthem any longer. And I think we all kind of understand what he's thinking. I don't know if I don't know how many people actually accept what his grievances are, but apparently, kind of the same, along the same lines as like your Muhammad Ali, who basically dodged the draft because he felt like, why should I fight for a country that, isn't giving us equal opportunity, equal treatment, and all that kind of stuff as far as the black community or people of color or whatever you want to call it. Could be any minority or non-whites these days. These days, with the war on the white race, it's kind of like any non-white person, right, is kind of grouped into this grievance category, which is kind of a shame because it's not really true. So here's the issue. When it was Colin Kaepernick doing it, or Kaepernick, however you want to pronounce it.
Just call him Colin.
Colin. When Colin was doing this, it was kind of like, oh boy, here we go. What is it? What are you trying to prove here? Well, then Donald Trump comes out and decides to weigh in on the kneeling because it grew, right? It wasn't just Colin Kaepernick. It was like first it was him, and then when the controversy erupted, it spilled over into other people. They're like, hey, he has a right to free speech, and he has grievances that are legit. I don't like that you're faulting him on this, so I'm going to do it too.
The murderer, Ray Lewis, the murderer,
alleged
homicidal maniac,
like for O.J. Simpson, alleged.
Well, the different. What's the difference between Ray Lewis and O.J. Simpson?
I don't know.
One's still looking for the murderer.
Which one though?
O.J.'s still looking.
Oh, he says he's still looking.
Ray Lewis knows who did it.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you suggesting to us that O.J. Simpson has no idea who murdered those people?
He's still looking.
Whatever.
Okay, so
it spilled over.
Right. The hypocrisy, though, of Ray Lewis, and I bring that up just because of today. Ray Lewis, I saw a clip. He was, with Charles Barkley.
Yeah. Former
a couple.
Phoenix
It was Ray Lewis and somebody else, and they were both blasting Colin for his original stand down. However, Ray Lewis takes a double knee.
Double knee.
He gets down on both knees, double kneed, hanging out with the Ravens in London, England, for all places. Oh. You're in another country, you SOB.
They're all laughing at you. Polita Diva, if you guys know Tracy, you know Polita Diva?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
She came out with
She follows us.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, she's a former colleague. So she did a video that was very interesting. She pointed out that it's disrespectful to the veterans and all that kind of stuff, but Steve Spell also did a video this morning, and Steve Spell pointed out that you don't have the freedom of speech in the NFL. And I was like, whoa. Says who?
Well, says your employer.
Well, he pointed out that if you do a dance in the end zone after scoring a touchdown, you get massively fined.
Oh, yeah. Remember Terrell Owens?
Yeah.
T.O.? When T.O. goes T.O., there's money to be paid out. Terrell Owens was the one who pulled out the Sharpie when he made a touchdown, signed it, and handed it to wound up being somebody he knew, his money man. Handed the football to the
money man.
It looked like he was handing it to the audience, to the crowd that loved him. But it was, anyways. That's beside the story. He got fined $5,000.
Right.
So I started looking into that, and the news stories say that he got fined $5,000 because of his uniform. Apparently, he was untucked. Some technicality,
because a Sharpie is not a part of the official uniform.
Yes, and
he's out of uniform,
and his sock was undone, his pants leg was up, and that is the technical fine, not the fine for a Sharpie. Fine for uniform.
Wait a minute. That's like getting Al Capone on tax evasion,
right?
Even though they were really after him for being a murderous gangster,
right.
They got him on tax. So you're saying it was a technicality?
It's all technicalities.
Well, if you do a dance in the end zone, you're definitely going to get fined.
Well, I was going to go to a clip, but now that you bring up the fines, real quick, folks.
Okay.
The 10 best NFL touchdowns that drew fines.
Oh, okay.
Terrell Owens is definitely in this. And our favorite, his name should have been Ocho y Cinco.
Ocho, you're right.
But he called himself Ocho Cinco, which in Spanish is calling yourself 8-5.
Right.
Like
8-5.
But
But 85 is Ocho y Cinco.
Right. Ocho Cinco.
He actually legally changed his name, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he got fined for that. Talk about freedom of speech. You're not even allowed to change your name legally. He got fined for that because it cost the NFL a lot of money to change all of those names from his original name to his new name.
Right. He wanted to change his jersey name. And they said, no, it's going to cost us too much money. He's like, well, I'll do it legally, and then you got to.
Well, they still fined him because they said, we got to retool all of the shirt makers. We got to retool it.
You just make one phone call to China, and China will...
And all the 8-year-olds that are sewing it together by hand.
Hey, don't think that NFL jerseys are made in America.
Are you sure?
I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
All right.
I know people that can get me jerseys, and they come from...
Let's get down to brass tacks.
Top 10, real quick. Top 10. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, jumped up and hugged the goalpost.
What year?
Damn, why would you do that?
I keep on asking you questions you don't know the answer to.
Why would you do that?
I am
to me?
blowing it.
I don't know.
Don't worry about
it. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
$11,500 for hanging on the goalpost. Doug Baldwin did his little you gotta dance, you gotta go dance, some kind of dance that had to do with a famous song at that point in time, where he was kind of squatting down, if you will. $11,000 fine for that touchdown dance. And then Lance Moore and Kenny Stills did a Macarena kind of thing in the end zone.
That must have been a while ago because the Macarena has been taboo for a long time.
Well, I'm not saying it was the Macarena, but it was the thing where you touch the back of your head, you flip your hips, and you do the twist and the hula hoop.
The hokey pokey?
Something like that. Each $7,800 each. So almost $15,000 for that fine.
Yeah, but they could spread it out between the two of them.
Split it, and then you've got Steve Johnson mocks Burgess, and he got Steve Johnson got $10,000 fine for mocking the player on the other team, and Chad Ocho Cinco, which isn't a word, he just made it up. That's okay. He made a touchdown, picked up the corner pylon, that orange square thing, picked it up, and attempted to use it as a golf club.
I remember that.
For the football.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, my goodness.
Do you remember how much he had to pay?
No.
$30,000.
But he was a repeat offender, though, kind of like Shannon Sharp and all those guys, nonstop doing stuff. They were pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, so Chad Johnson also did something else, excessive celebration, and was fined $5,000.
Did you say Chad Johnson? That is really disrespectful.
Damn it, man.
It's Jose Ocho y Cinco de Seis Nueve, something like that. It is not the artist formerly known as
Chad Johnson.
There you go.
Who now is Ocho y Cinco. $5,000 for excessive, and then the time. Do you guys remember the famous? Check this out. I was on YouTube the other day and fell down a rabbit hole like I usually do, and I ran into an audio clip of Larry Elder, or a video clip of Larry Elder up on stage. He's a black conservative talk show host out of L.A., and he was going head to head with another black man, the Nation of Islam type of thing, and they were on stage having like a battle of conversation, if you will, and Larry Elder stood up and was talking about Randy Moss, and that you might not know him yet.
Okay.
And that he didn't get he got accused of something that went bad in high school, and he couldn't get the first pick of his choice, and wound up going to a lower school, and things didn't work out for him. However, in hindsight, going to a school that's not top rated, And if you have that talent, you outshine not only the team, but probably the coach. So you might look even better versus going to a Big Ten, but I digress. If you remember Randy Moss, I thought he was a phenomenal player. I loved his attitude. I loved the reach he had for the ball.
Oh, he was like 9'12".
Yeah, I mean, it was like,
or at least it appeared that way.
It was Chris Collinsworth 5.0. I mean, it was just an advance. So Randy Moss scores a touchdown, turns his bottom or his back towards the crowd, and pretends, makes a motion as if he's mooning the crowd.
But did he actually moon the crowd?
It was pretend. It was just bending over and motioning his hands.
Okay.
Just pretend.
Uh-huh. But so he obviously wasn't home. This was an away game.
Yes.
Okay. Because I would think that would be not very smart to do that to your own fans.
Randy Moss commits a disgusting act.
Okay.
Of his own.
Yeah.
Did the fake moon, which is
Okay.
kind of, dude, it was funny. $10,000
for doing a motion that makes it look like you're pulling your pants off without doing that.
Right.
Gesturing, if you will.
Yes.
And they called it disgusting.
Yes.
Boy, times have changed.
So 2003, the Giants Saints receiver Joe Horn ran to the goalpost after scoring his second TD, extracted a hidden cell phone from the padding, and made a call.
Okay, I remember that. That wasn't that long ago, was it?
03?
Oh, gosh, I'm getting old.
14 years ago. Oh.
It seemed. Wait a minute, they had cell phones back then? That was new, man.
When I was in college back in 01, 02, was my first cell phone.
Okay.
And I was broke. I was poor.
Yeah, you were cell phone poor.
Yeah. I was looking for the cell phone company that didn't do a credit check.
Oh, there you go.
Do you remember that when you had to do a credit check to get a phone?
Well, they still do. They still do. It's just that now that we're more old and wiser and mature and responsible,
right,
we actually pass it.
Hidden cell phone makes a call $30,000.
That's the most expensive long distance call. God, wow. Talk about getting ripped off.
Yeah.
He should change cell phone plans.
Now, Terrell Owens had many fines. There's another $5,000 fine. But in the midst of his first All-Pro season, T.O. decided to celebrate a touchdown in Dallas. You'll remember this one. By going to the star logo of Dallas in midfield.
I remember that.
Casting his arms out and looking up towards the heavens.
Casting his arm okay.
His arms like he's on a cross, kind of, but the ball's in his hands. He's looking to the heaven. He just scored a touchdown.
Right.
It was as if he was insulting the star.
Like he was saying, what are you going to do now?
Of Dallas. Right.
Yeah. I remember that. They made that out to be
huge.
Very disrespectful.
Well, when you're in Dallas, for those of you Dallas fans, I at one time sympathized with y'all.
Why?
I liked Dallas at one point in time. I liked Troy Aikman.
Okay.
Aiken.
Well,
I liked him. I thought he was great. I thought he was a great quarterback. I liked Dallas for a minute. Okay. This that T.O. did, I thought was funny. It was good. It's just a hint of WWF. You know, just a hint of WWE. Just a little in your face.
Yeah.
And it's all fun and games. Nobody's getting hurt.
They made it. I remember them acting like they can't believe this guy had the gall to do something like that.
But when you're in Texas, football is life.
Well,
in Texas. So $24,000 fine.
For running to the middle of the field and putting his arms out.
Yes.
You see what's going on here, folks? We are dealing with a country now where the defense and honor and respect for the colors and symbols of your football team are much more coveted than this silly American country flag and song, and it's just silly. But God forbid if you walk out onto my star. He's lucky they did not. He's lucky they did not jump out of the stands and rush the field and just rip him limb from limb.
I would not doubt that police officers held some people back. I wouldn't doubt it.
But you could wipe your butt. You could wipe your butt with the Star Spangled Banner,
the American flag, and do whatever. The other. So okay, dial back just a minute. Where all this began. The hypocrisy that is Colin. And now I'm not sure if you guys remember, but Paul Joseph Watson did a 4-minute clip of Colin Kaepernick and what he thought about the whole situation. And
that was like last year.
Yeah, it was. Okay. That was actually a year ago, September 1st.
Wow. Okay.
A year and some months ago. If you are on Periscope right now, the new technology we're using, I'm going to show the video clip so you can see the video clip of PJW, Paul Joseph Watson, and the video clip of what Colin Kaepernick does. And if you're on Spreaker, you'll hear it. But if you're on Periscope, you'll see it. And that will be right about... Oh, come on, man. Okay, there we go.
San Francisco 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick refused to stand for the national anthem to protest against America being so racist. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color, said Kaepernick.
I don't know where that happens. Where does that happen? But anyway, okay, sorry. I digress.
Right, so America oppresses black people so much that 68% of NFL football players are black and have enjoyed the massive wealth, spotlight and opportunity that America gave them. But Kaepernick has a right to ignore the national anthem. That's his First Amendment. That's what our soldiers fought and died for. Of course Kaepernick has a right to do what he wants. That's not the argument. That's not the issue. The issue is this. Why does the left only rush to defend someone's right to free speech when they're using it to trash America? While if you so much as criticize a Ghostbusters movie, your free speech suddenly becomes hateful and divisive. Kaepernick is being hailed as a free speech martyr by the left for parroting Black Lives Matter rhetoric. But if you use your free speech to criticize Black Lives Matter, like these firefighters did, the left will hound and harass you until you're fired. The left will only defend your First Amendment when you exercise it to agree with them. Otherwise, they'll tar and feather you. And that's the issue. The left only cares about free speech when it's being weaponized to bolster fake leftist narratives like Black Lives Matter. This is also about Kaepernick regurgitating the debunked myth that there's a racist war against black people in America, disproven by a new study by a black Harvard professor which shows there is no racial bias in police shootings, disproven by the fact that cops kill twice as many white people despite blacks being vastly overrepresented in crime statistics. The entire narrative that underpins what Kaepernick said has been completely discredited. But Kaepernick cares so much about Black Lives Matter that out of his $144 million income, he's donated precisely zero to Black Lives Matter. The half-white Kaepernick loves black people so much, he once called one the N-word during an argument. Perhaps
and was fined $11,000 for using the N-word on. You cannot use curse words or the N-word on the field. You'll be fined.
Well, I understand that, but why is it always $11,000? Is that like the magic number? Is that a maximum or something?
I think there's not the maximum, but
the minimum.
I think it's a staple. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
Kaepernick should be more concerned about the damage illegitimacy within the black community wreaks on black lives, given that he was abandoned by his black father as a child.
Did anybody know that?
Well, is anybody surprised?
No, but how was he raised?
Raised by white parents who adopted him and treated him as their own. Because
Oh, hell no.
White blonde mother, white male gray-haired man, long blonde sister.
How do you go full screen? You should show everybody full screen. I don't know if that's easy. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, so you're looking at it right now if you're on our Periscope feed of Colin Kaepernick's family. That's just... It kind of reminds me of Barry Soetoro. There's a guy, you guys may not have ever heard of him, or maybe that name sounds familiar, Barry Soetoro.
I've heard of Barry Soetoro. Doesn't he...
He was raised by his white mother, because he's half black, half white.
No, he's got that pizza joint in the mall everywhere.
Oh, Soetoro's Pizza.
No, that's Sbarro's. Sorry.
So anyway, no, I mean, he was raised by a white mother and a white maternal grandfather, and then he had some mentors who, some of whom were
Frank Marshall Davis.
Yeah, he was black, but then there were also some white communist types and all that kind of stuff. But he goes on to become this anti-white racist, and then eventually the president of the United States. When he was, his real name, I guess, is Barack Obama.
What?
So, or maybe his real name's Barry Soetoro,
and he changed it up.
Barry
Hussein Obama,
whichever one it was. But anyway, I mean, how does it come this way? Now, I have a friend who has a black father and a white mother. And when the racial stuff was first starting up way back in like 2008, 2009, maybe 2010, when things started really getting kind of ugly, I asked her what she thought of this, having been raised with both races under the same household. And she said, I just don't get it.
That is amazing.
Well, I mean, that actually, once my first thought when I heard that was, wow, that's interesting. And then I thought about it and I thought, isn't that obvious? Shouldn't that be obvious that she would say that?
I would think. I would think because she's raised in a household that's not biased. That has no bias. Apparently,
you could get co-opted at some later point in your life, just like Barry Soetoro was, and then eventually how Colin Kaepernick was kind of co-opted by another culture and then he embraced that because, there's a certain point in time in your childhood where you latch on to a group of people, and a lot of times that ends up being what defines you, even though you may come from a completely different upbringing. You see that a lot of times with like people that go into become a gangster or something like that, inner city youth, but then you look at how they were from the time they were born until 6th grade, and they were just like grown up in this nice middle class, no violence or anything like that, and somehow they just latched on to some other culture. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just speculating. But
America's so racist, and Kaepernick is really oppressed. Kaepernick said he also refused to honour the anthem because he was tired of seeing, quote, bodies in the street. Yet he's repeatedly professed his sympathies for Islam after hooking up with Muslim activist Nessa Diab. And as we all know, there's no connection whatsoever between Islam and bodies in the street. What leftists are also keen to avoid is the one thing Kaepernick said that actually rang true: his criticism of Hillary Clinton.
I mean, we have a presidential candidate who's deleted emails and done things illegally and is a presidential candidate. That doesn't make sense to me, because if that was any other person, you'd be in prison.
Right. In reality, Kaepernick is just trying to clamber aboard the lifeboat of social justice warrior grievance culture to make excuses for his failing career. The whole First Amendment debate is a distraction. That's not the issue. Of course he has a right to free speech, and I have the right to call him a hypocrite who's being used as a mouthpiece to spout bullshit leftist race-baiting narratives under the contrived guise of being a martyr for free speech. He's not a martyr for free speech. He's a puppet on a string and a complete idiot. So fuck.
Yeah, try to get that at the right time. Sorry about that, folks. This is a family-friendly show.
Seems like PJW needs to wash his mouth out with soap.
PJW does do that. So if you follow PJW on YouTube, Paul Joseph Watson, also on Twitter at Prison Planet.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. You'll get a lot of America politics, but you'll also get exposing Islam around the world as well. It's really, really good to follow Paul Joseph. Prison Planet.
Yep. So let's get down to so we know a little bit more about, because you got to be reminded this stuff happened last year. That video you just heard or saw, if you're watching on Periscope, is a year old.
1 year old. And the memory, and I'll be honest with you folks, I'm with you when if you say, oh my gosh, I've never seen or heard that before. I remember watching it, but man, I forgot all the details.
Right,
of that.
and here's the thing. You got to remember, this is not, Prison Planet, Paul Joseph Watson is not the first one to say this. I know I've heard this from several other people. It may have even been Rush Limbaugh. But he is not a superstar. In order to make big money and to negotiate for larger contracts, you need to have popularity. You need to be able to make the NFL money. And because he can't do it with skills, he has to do it with controversy. And so this is kind of a contrived thing on his part. This year's a little different, though, because now you have people all the way down to the youth level, little kids, little 7-year-old kids, who are being taught by their horrendous people that we call coaches, and these coaches are allowed to do this to their children by their parents, and they're taking a knee and taking a page from the Colin Kaepernick.
An entire high school football team on Friday took a knee for the national anthem. I would say arrest somebody for child abuse.
Well, and here's the thing. Obviously, you should not be doing this to children. And in the high school level, let me tell you something. Even if 50% of that team did not want to kneel, the peer pressure is as powerful as a machine gun when you're in high school.
And as an adult, I've got one for you today. This happened today. I am not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I am not. I'm from Cincinnati. I didn't like...
You have to hate Pittsburgh because we're from Cincinnati.
And I didn't like Ben Roethlisberger. I did not.
Roethlisberger?
Isn't that his name?
Oh, Roethlisberger.
Oh,
not Roethlisberger.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's an honest mistake. People make that mistake all the time.
Okay.
But you digress.
I definitely digress. I don't like Pittsburgh, never have liked Pittsburgh, but that's okay. Today, I've changed my mind. I'm starting to like one guy on the Pittsburgh team.
Okay.
This out of DML, Dennis Michael Lynch. He's got his own website now, DML Report. And Dennis Michael Lynch wrote about this. He said, the Pittsburgh coach, Michael Tomlin, who happens to be a black man, said today, these are very divisive times for our country, and for us as a football team, it's about remaining solid. We're not going to be divided by anything said by anyone. We're not going to let divisive times or divisive individuals affect our agenda. So we're going to stay in the locker room and not come out.
Oh, really?
Yep. Except the cameras caught a glimpse. Alejandro Villanueva.
Who's that?
The Pittsburgh player.
Okay, all right.
Huge dude.
Okay.
I don't know much about Pittsburgh because I don't like Pittsburgh, but I like this guy. He snuck out of the locker room, walked down the tunnel, and stood with his hand over his heart at the edge of the field in the tunnel while the national anthem was being played.
And he was the only one visible? Was there anybody behind him?
No.
How did the coach let one guy out?
No.
He's going to get in trouble for that.
He'll be fined.
$11,000, I'm telling you.
$11,000.
$11,000, I'm telling you.
So I've got a newfound love for only Alejandro Villanueva, which sounds like, I don't want to prejudge, but it sounds like he might be a fairly
somebody said
new immigrant.
Somebody on the comments section said he is a veteran.
Oh my goodness!
That may be that would be an interesting piece of information.
How do you not, as a veteran, how do you not defy orders to stand down for the salute to the flag? That's just, it's unconscious. It would be like me telling you, hey, don't kiss your kids good night. Don't do that. I'm telling you right now, if you kiss your kids good night, you'll be fined $11,000.
Yikes.
I mean, what are we talking? This is an emotional tie to our country. This is the greatest country in the world that has ever been, because not out of arrogance, not out of anything other than one single reason. We are the only country ever to be founded where the government serves the people. That has never happened. Name me one country, Kerry, that a woman, a black woman, a white woman, a black man, a white man, any person in America could go live anywhere in the world that would be more free. That could take advantage of capitalism. They could raise themselves up from nothing.
And you got to be careful, because the left has made that a tough question to answer because of what they've done to our government and what they've done with the laws and the policies and the crapping all over the Constitution. So, you know, it's a very tough question to answer these days. I mean, look what the deep state is doing to our duly elected president.
It is insanity. Folks, if you again, I'm going to reference the scopes that I did this week. If you catch some of my scopes, you know that I've been complaining recently. When I go to work in the morning, they always have ABC on with Snuffleupagus.
Oh, yeah. He's absolutely a political operative on the Democrat side.
Right. George Stephanopoulos in the morning, and it is nonstop, wall to wall, Russia.
Yeah, that's well. We'll get before we.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Before we venture off.
So my whole thing is that the media is guiding this. The media is guiding this narrative. They love you're like, well, what is their end goal with the whole knee down, and they're promoting it? What is their agenda? Their agenda is to divide the people.
Okay, this is not going to work, people. This is not going to work. This is really simple. And I don't know why nobody's figured this out. Did you get that clip from the
yes, sir.
Deface the Nation?
Yes, I got two of them from Deface the Nation.
The one, the NFL one.
Oh,
do you have the NFL one?
I will look for it.
Okay. While you look for it, let me just explain this. This is not going to work.
Oh, NFL coaches are listening? Yes, I've got that one.
Yeah. Play that.
Okay, so
when you hear this, you're going to quickly realize, and by the way, Brian's going to have to be ready with his mouse because he's going to have to stop this multiple times. This thing is so chock full of ridiculous propaganda, you are just going to be sick.
But it's only a minute and 57
seconds.
seconds.
We're going to be on this for an hour. I'm just kidding. I mean, seriously, it's that bad.
Okay, here's Deface the Nation.
Commissioner Roger Goodell issued a statement yesterday saying, divisive comments like these demonstrate an unfortunate lack of respect for the NFL.
Whoa. Divisive comments like these demonstrate an unfortunate lack of respect for the NFL? What the hell happened to lack of respect for America? Why is the NFL more important than the country?
And who's really being divisive here? Trump is calling the divisive actions to be stopped. So who's being divisive?
He's basically saying that he's asking us. That's another thing. They're taking what Trump said, which I don't know if you have that audio or not, but maybe we'll hear it at some point during this broadcast. But they're taking what he said and translating it into what they wanted him to say. All he did was ask the people at a rally if they would think it would be awesome to see the commissioner or an NFL owner, I think is what he said, NFL owners say, get that son of a bitch off the field, you're fired.
I hope I got that one. I do remember in show prep, I did come across that sound clip, and I said, I need that.
But what they're saying that he said was that he's demanding that these people get fired. No, he's asking the people listening to him if they would think it would be awesome if that happened. That's all. He's just asking a question.
Right.
And what did the crowd say? Yeah! That should be a message right there.
Yes. Oh, the tweet that I responded to an individual. I have no idea who the guy is. Turns out he is a flaming libtard, snowflake, precious. And the reason why I got his tweet is because Joy Reid yesterday, I think it was Saturday morning, Joy Reid retweeted him. And I said, oh, well, let me look at what he said. So I looked, and he had 3 bullet points that said, hey, it's not – all these people did was 1, take a knee, 1, do this, and 3, do that. And he named the names of these people that did these things, and he's like, and so now Trump is bashing him. And I responded very quickly. I was the first one. I said, no. All 3 of these, the common factor is they hate America. That within a couple hours,
people loved it. People loved that.
1,300 likes.
It was so true.
Thousands of likes, thousands of retweets.
It was simple. You just what you observed and what you stated was obvious.
Yes.
And you stated it, and people were like, yeah, that is right. It's that simple. There's no need to complicate it. But anyway, so let's get back to the video.
James Brown, CBS News special correspondent and the host of NFL Today. JB, the response to the president's comments has been pretty overwhelming from players, from owners. What are you hearing?
Pretty much what you just articulated, John, that from the commissioner, owners, and players, they have uniformly and universally disavowed those comments. Leadership, John, is about being a unifier, if you will, and engaging in vulgar, profane references to a group of young professionals who have been peacefully exhibiting their First Amendment rights is not the way to engage in civil discourse for the purpose of resolving long-standing, well-documented problems in their communities.
All right, I got to stop this. My head is exploding.
I know. Your head should be totally exploding now. What do you think?
Is this the James Brown that was in the Rocky movie?
No. No, not hi. No, not that James Brown.
Because I'm thinking that this guy is just as ridiculous. This is insane.
No. Yeah.
Okay, their civil discourse and the fact that the vulgar.
Why are they using the stage of the NFL to do this? Why, as an owner of an NFL team or the commissioner of the NFL, are you allowing them to use your stage? They could do this wherever they want, and I think we might be too loud.
Okay.
Do you have to keep on adjusting that every time we go from clip to turn this down?
Yeah,
Sorry about that,
because the actual sound clip is pretty quiet.
All right, so yeah, I'll just turn this down then. You can turn that up. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical. All right. So anyway, why are they allowing them to use this stage? This is just the most back-asswards thing I've ever seen. The way he's describing what the problem is here is just totally backwards. Trump has it right. Trump has it right because this is not going to work. What exactly are they trying to do here? This is what they're trying to do. Let's just simplify this. The NFL players are trying to get their followers or anybody that might want to follow them who voted for and support Trump to no longer support or vote for him in the future. And that's just not going to work. No. It's not going to work. That will not work. I mean, what could they possibly be trying to gain from this? If maybe somebody, here's another thing that you could make the argument. Like, make the argument for me. Okay, how about this argument? People, I want to get your feedback on this, Brian. People who hate Trump, who may not watch the NFL for whatever reason. Maybe they just never got into football. Maybe they had no reason to even check out football. Maybe they would like it if they started watching it. But they don't. But they hate Trump. Are they dragging in new customers into the NFL viewer base? No. It's ridiculous.
Not only that, but football players are taking a knee during the national anthem to protest Trump.
Right. That's what they're really doing.
So that makes you an uneducated moron.
Yeah, and you got to look at it from a capitalist point of view here. Their job is to get asses in the seat. Their job is to sell tickets. Their job is to get people to tune in on Sunday and Monday and sometimes Thursday.
Right.
To watch the show and basically sell advertisement. I don't know who said this. It may have even been Rush Limbaugh. Every time he says something, I can't remember that he said this. But he said, my job is to get people to purchase the products that I advertise.
Yes, that was Rush Limbaugh. Yes.
That is his job.
Yes.
That's his only job.
Right.
And if he can't get people to listen to his advertisements and possibly even purchase the products that his advertisers are advertising,
right,
then he's not doing his job.
Correct.
And for the NFL, it's about whichever way that they're going to make money. Some of it is selling actual tickets, physical tickets. Some of it is getting people to purchase the advertised products on the TV when they see it in the commercials.
Correct.
This is totally backfiring in every way, and they don't even see it. They do not see how this is backfiring. People are not going to want to buy tickets to go see NFL games. My dad's that person, and everybody listening right now knows this person, that if all else goes to hell in a handbasket, they're going to tune in to their NFL games on Sunday.
Yeah. Except
there
me.
Could be a
Except
nuclear...
me. I haven't watched NFL except one time.
But I'm talking about my dad here. I'm talking about my dad.
One time.
And
Super Bowl.
everybody out there who knows the person that's just like my dad. There could be a nuclear holocaust, but if there's an NFL field somewhere and an NFL game going on and it's broadcast, he's going to watch it.
Right,
period.
Right.
He told me today he only made it to halftime.
No way!
He said he was so sick to his stomach over what's been going on.
Oh, my goodness.
That what he saw, he turned on the game in London today.
Oh!
And he was so disgusted.
Of all the games to turn on.
Yeah, he was so disgusted that he ended up he made it to halftime, and he said, I'm turning off. I just can't do this anymore.
How do you go to another country and literally dump on the
whole thing's
your
ridiculous.
country?
I brought up this comparison to Brian this morning, and he had to laugh about it. What it would be like if a soccer team from London came to America, they played the national anthem of England, and they all took a knee.
Hail to the Queen, and they take a knee.
They take a knee on American soil, and we're all standing there listening to a foreign national anthem while the subjects of that country are taking a knee. The whole thing would just be laughable.
I might think, well, that's how they salute the Queen. Okay.
I only take a knee.
That's
okay.
their thing. I honestly probably would not have any clue
right.
of what was going on.
Like, their culture's different. They take a knee instead of stand.
They don't watch American football. It's not. It's.
I mean, some do, but it's not as popular as in America.
It's foosball to them, with the soccer ball.
I guess it's like rugby or something. They probably think we're a bunch of snowflakes because we're all padded up. Meanwhile, they do rugby and they're like, we don't need a hat.
No,
we're going out bald. We're
missing teeth and broken arms and broken legs.
Right. So, this is not going to work. This is a failed business model. How could they not see this? And I understand the players don't get it at all. They don't understand capitalism. They don't understand business. And I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. But how is it that an owner of an NFL team or the commissioner of the NFL or any of their advisors, even their accountant, how could their accountant be like, yeah, man, we got to stand up for their First Amendment? How is this going to bring, and do they think that there's these really strangely patriotic people out there who watch the NFL that say, wow, I was worried that you guys wouldn't allow your players to express their First Amendment rights on your field. But now that I see that you're allowing them to do that, wow, I am so galvanized in my support of the NFL now. That's just, it's not going to happen.
No. This, like you said, Rush used to work for a baseball team, and his job was to get people to show up, and he worked with, whether it was bobblehead night or sponsorship night or whatever the night was. He was to organize that and make that happen to get people to come. The person who organizes these football games, family night, veterans, a veteran salute to the veterans night, and that's when Colin did that. It was a special thanking the veterans night football where they did a special event, and it was a black military personnel was the man who was singing the song, and obviously he was standing and not offended by, but Colin Kaepernick sitting down, taking a knee. This is, and somebody said on the scope, said something about, well, this isn't illegal. No, we're not talking about legalities.
It's not about whether it's legal or not. By the way, for those of you that want to scream whether or not it's legal, it's also 100% legal for the owners to ban them from their team, for the commissioner to ban them from the league, or to fine them. Say, all right, I'll tell you what, you guys can do whatever you want. You guys can dance in the end zone. You guys can dance on the sideline. And you guys can take a knee during the national anthem. But here is the list of fines for each of the infractions. And charge them. There's absolutely nothing illegal for them doing that. The fact that they are not doing it, the fact that they're too cowardly to stand up to this unpatriotic, anti-American behavior is enough to drive away the fans. I don't even have to scream for you guys to boycott the NFL, to not buy tickets, and if you're a season ticket holder, to never do it again and to walk away forever. I don't even need to tell you. It's going to happen.
Do what you will. You will. And
it's going to happen.
We're up against a hard break right now. This is the top of the hour, folks. You are listening to Smith Radio. I'm Brian Smith, along with
Carrie Smith.
My cousin.
Is cousin spelled with a T? You say cousin.
Well, if you're in Kentucky, it is.
Oh, okay.
No, we're
like
not
toilet?
in Kentucky.
They use a toilet. They use a toilet in Kentucky. Yes, they
My
do.
cousin, Carrie, and we do this show. He was in the Marine Corps. I was in the Air Force. This military veteran talk radio. If this is the first time you've listened to the show, I thank you very much for being on the show. Check it out. If you like what you hear, jump over to patreon.com/Smith Radio. For $1, you can be a part of the private Smith Radio message meetup group where you can talk to Carrie and I 24/7.
It's like a mega meetup every day. It's
every
really
day
cool.
It is a mega meetup. And matter of fact, it was you folks on the message mega meetup that gave me the show icon, the picture for the show today.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we definitely
it's funny. We actually kind of get help from them.
Yes, we definitely get a lot of help, a lot of insight from you folks that are on the meetup group. And if you want your personalized Kofefe cup, that will be yours.
We should change it to $2 so that way we could use that sound clip from Better Off Dead with the paper boy.
$2.
I want my $2.
maybe.
Anyway.
So we're talking about Colin Kaepernick. We're talking about the NFL. And we're talking about the hypocrisy that the NFL allows or says it's their freedom and their right to take a knee.
Are we really only halfway through this?
Civil discourse.
Oh, gosh.
It's civil discourse for them to take a knee. Yet Terrell Owens pulling a Sharpie marker out of his shoe and signing the football, giving it to a fan, is grounds for
you can't even do the Icky Shuffle.
No,
you can't do
you cannot do no. And if you don't know who Icky Woods is, I'm sorry, folks. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So you want to the elephant in the room, and I'd like to take credit for this, folks, but I cannot.
Why not?
I cannot take credit for this.
Come on, take credit for it.
I got this, I believe, from Dinesh D'Souza.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember?
Is that your power pause?
Man, you're killing it.
I'm sorry, man. I'm all hopped up on caffeine right now.
Oh, damn it.
Do you have a clip?
No. What was his name?
Dinesh D'Souza?
No. He wanted, before each game when he was drafted to the NFL, he would take a knee and he would pray.
Oh, from the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, he would take a knee and pray. Yet he gets cursed out. Yet he gets run out of Dodge. Yet he's made fun of, ripped, and blackballed, sent out of Dodge because he wanted to pray.
Right.
I would look it up, but I've got a screen full of computer.
Tim Tebow.
Thank you.
I knew that.
I don't want to wait for the people. We should have. I was distracted, folks. So Tim Tebow, think about it.
He
Remember
was
Tim
blackballed.
Tebow?
Yeah, he was discriminated against for his religion. There's no doubt about that.
He's a good Christian boy, young man.
And he was 100 times better a quarterback than Kaepernick.
And he would give his time to the children and he did more good things to kids than I did. I mean,
I should have taken that as a warning sign for them to treat him the way that he did.
To trash a good, all-around, wholesome Christian.
Yeah.
Good guy trying to make his way in the world.
Yeah, that should have been a warning sign. There was endless debates and arguments about how he's not as good as his performance leads you to believe. Like, literally, that was the argument. Here's a guy that got him to the playoffs, and he was like the come-from-behind guy. It was almost like a Joe Montana when it comes
underdog.
Coming from behind, they would be getting their butt kicked all game.
No. Tom Brady. No, I'm joking. They're the ultimate come from behind.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he's as good as those guys, but he
was young.
Got wins. He got wins. They had a great season, and there were all these experts out there. I mean, it was pure propaganda. I was beside myself because I'm a results guy. And if you're winning games, there was like this all hands on deck, full-blown propaganda effort to destroy him despite their record. They kept on droning it into our head over and over. And there were guys who aren't even political, who are just big-time football fans, that would tell me, Carey, he's not that good. He's like, honestly, on a scale from 1 to 10, he's like a 4. And I'm like, on NFL standards. For NFL standards, where 0 would be, all right, you're getting cut next game.
Right.
All the way up to 10, where it's like you're the best quarterback in the NFL. He's like a 4. And I'm like, but they're kicking butt. They're winning games. What the hell are you talking about?
And a lot of times when you're fresh in the NFL as a quarterback, your first year, you're new. You've got some new game, new talent. But once they learn you, your second year is the tell-all year. He just needed to be raised up, in my personal opinion, and that never happened. He could have never have made it, and it could have never worked out for him. I don't know. I'm not an NFL coach.
It seemed like a big propaganda effort to me.
It was horrendous he would go to the end zone after the game by himself to kneel and pray. I mean, hell, if this was 1918, and shoeless Joe Jackson takes his shoes off to walk out on a baseball field out of respect, he's going to get fined. You can't do that anymore.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, we spent way too much time on this, but I did want to point out
you want me to kill this clip?
Yeah. You can play the rest. It'll probably end up getting us to talk for another hour because it's just mind blowing.
We'll just take it for a couple of minutes. We won't talk that long about it.
And all they're aiming to do is to make sure that the first words of the U.S. Constitution, "We the people," is inclusive, and they have those same rights and freedoms, John.
They do. Why would you assume? Why would you act like they don't?
You ain't lying. This thing is making my head blow up. Every 4 seconds, I'm blowing up.
Why do we have to let them? Why does the NFL? See, I'm an NFL owner. If I'm an owner, why do I have to remind them that they have the First Amendment right to freedom of speech in the country? That Congress shall make no law abridging their freedom of speech on my football field. I don't have to do that for them. I don't have to do that at all.
Right. Just like if I go to work tomorrow and I walk up to my boss and I say, hey, yo, bro, with all due respect, go yourself and your wife.
And since Congress shall make no law abridging my right to do that,
can't fire me,
you
dog.
have to do it too.
Can't fire me, dog. I can say what I want. I got freedoms of speeches.
Bunch of cowards.
There have been young Utes come up through the ranks that
they're condoning the behavior.
Snowflakes. There was one girl in particular. She just got a job, and when first day on the job, and she went home that night and got on Facebook and was trashing the company she just got hired with, and the guy replied back to her on Facebook, "Hey, yeah. It's me, your boss. Yeah, don't worry about it. You don't have to come in anymore ever again."
There you go. How about the interns that came in to some company This was reported probably about a year or two ago, where the interns, they all were working together.
Right.
And there was a dress code. It was like when I was working at GE. You had to be
I
business
remember
casual.
this story.
And they said, gosh, man, I wish we could dress like laid-back cargo pants, cargo shorts, and like T-shirt or, with a hemp necklace. Yeah, I think we should be allowed to do that.
I don't want to bathe.
I don't like all this wearing a tie crap or whatever.
Why do I gotta smell good?
They decided amongst themselves that they would approach their boss as a unit, like a union, like a mini union.
Yeah.
And they would say, together, we have decided, they literally said, we voted together that we are not going to adhere to your dress code anymore. We're going to dress how we want in comfortable, casual clothes. And they were like, get out.
We would like to enter into a collective bargaining.
No, they told him to get the hell out.
Right.
They said, get out.
Get
they
out,
said,
you're
get out.
fired.
And they probably were on the horn to the college because these were just interns.
There was a clip that I played on this show. Folks, we've been doing this for 4 years. So these stories we're telling you anecdotally, these really did happen.
Yeah.
It's just we need a producer to pull them up for us. But and this one went viral. The girl was sitting in her car scoping. It's probably about 6 months ago. And she was screaming and crying because I almost didn't believe it was real. But it was put up by like Paul Joseph Watson or Mark Dice or somebody reputable. And she was trashing her boss. She's like, I came late on a Monday, and he's like, where have you been? I'm like, I was tired. I was out last night celebrating my new job, and, we stayed out a little too late, and I was a little tired and wasn't feeling good. And he said, and it was this conversation she was having with her boss, but she was saying it on her scope. And she's like, can you believe it? He just like fired me. And I said, you and your male chauvinism, and I'm going to contact, the board and stuff. But it was just insanity.
She was so upset.
Yes,
I remember that. That was so trollicious because it almost seemed fake. Like a parody. That's what it seemed like. It was a parody.
So do I torture you a little bit more with this?
Play one
JB,
more.
what is your sense of how this gets resolved and keeps from escalating? Is there a collective role here, or is it up to the players, the owners, the fans, the communities?
Well, fans
how do you see this getting better and not worse?
I think they all are involved in that. I've long articulated that there needs to be an inclusive discussion in inclusive groups, not in homogenous groups, all people the same ethnic.
What? Who's doing that? Who's doing that? Nobody's doing that.
I drink homogenized milk.
What? He's like making things up. Let's do a narrative. What narrative are we going to do? Well, let's just make believe that all these different racial groups are getting together.
Because they are, Carrie. They are, Carrie.
Well, you don't see it, but it's happening. They're getting together in their little ethno groups, and they're going to homogenize and separate, and we're going to have all this segregation.
Homogenize and misogynize. I mean, all of it. And what they're doing is they're having these discussions, and they're not interacting with each other. He's making this stuff up. He's making it up.
Color, what have you? I'm loving what coaches like Pete Carroll of the Seattle Seahawks has been doing, or Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins. Their aim has been to hear the players, to understand. They may disagree with the manner in which they peacefully articulate their concerns, but at least they hear them. Bill Cowher, our Super Bowl winning coach, has said that as well, because it's about a team-building effort where all benefit from that, John.
All right, JB, thanks so much for being with us.
I don't.
It's about team building. It's about team. We are doing this, and we are going to make everybody. We're going to make everybody not speak
but he's
up.
Talking about we got to hear their plight. We got to hear they're millionaires. They're at minimum 100,000 heirs. They make way more money than all of us.
Yeah, probably.
And they're famous.
I doubt there's anybody listening to this that makes more money than they do.
And if you do, that's fine. But jump over to patreon.com.
Yes, absolutely. Nice segue there.
But come on, man.
Anyway. Well, the point is, the big point, I know we drug this out. which is fine.
We had to beat this horse.
We had to beat it up. It's funny because if somebody clicks on this on Friday next week, they're going to be like, holy crap, why do they talk so long about the NFL? Well, this is big news today.
And we're talking about America.
Yeah.
It's just not the NFL. This is everything we have ever talked about here on Smith Radio is the making of America great again, saving our way of life, capitalism, our Constitution, our freedoms, our rights, and to have famous NFL players literally say, America, y'all racist.
We're all homogenized. We're in our homogenized groups.
No.
They're just making this stuff up. Anyway, the point is it's not going to work. And the only franchise, what's the only sports franchise that you can think of that would be making a bigger mistake than the NFL's making by allowing unpatriotic behavior to happen to the point where it looks like the owners, commissioners, and all that are flat out condoning it? The only sports franchise that could be as dumb as the NFL for doing this has got to be NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL is their entire fan base is like very patriotic people, very patriotic. I mean, no other sports franchise could be more ill-advised in doing this, except for NASCAR. NASCAR did this.
Oh, they would walk in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they'd be suffering.
Absolutely walk. So real quick, we'll end this segment with Trump, my man Trump, and the words from Trump as he was in, I think he was at, the Alabama, the Huntsville rally. This is what Trump said, and this is what everybody's getting all bent out of shape about.
Great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL when somebody disrespects our flag to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's
right.
Sorry
about that.
All he said was, wouldn't you just love to see them get that guy off the field, you're fired.
Right.
That's all. He asked the question to the crowd, and the crowd cheered back with their answer, which was, yes, we would love to see that. He didn't call for it. He didn't say that that's what they should do. He didn't chastise the players for doing it, other than to ask the crowd what they thought, how they would feel if they actually yanked him off the field and fired him.
Right, and everybody cheered for that.
So, yeah, that's what it boils down to. So, one thing you got to watch out for, and I like to point this out as a way for you guys to remind you guys what you get when you listen to Smith Radio, is we don't gloss over what the meaning of people's words are. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Trump was calling for the firing of NFL players, because that's not what happened.
He said, if you saw that, what would you think?
Yeah, he was asking them, wouldn't it be awesome to see that happen? That's all. He was just asking a question.
And we all agree, absolutely. It would be awesome for Colin Kaepernick to get that's right. He doesn't play football anymore, does he?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous.
Hey, did you hear the rumor about the Cincinnati Bengals? Oh, dude.
Probably not.
Dude, this is awful.
Uh-oh. What's happening?
So if you're a Cincinnati fan, or if you're an anti-Colin Kaepernick fan, hold on to your seats. Rumor this week. Could be fake news. This is on 55 KRC on the talk radio. Could be fake news. Probably is fake news. But the talking heads going back and forth said, what I heard, Cincinnati needs a new quarterback. Looks like they might call Colin Kaepernick up from the bench.
I'm sure they were making a joke out of it. I'm sure. Gosh.
Dude, Cincinnati, the city of Cincinnati, is such the town They wouldn't stand for that. They would not patronize the Bengals anymore. I'm telling you, as much as they love the Bengals, they would be so shocked.
It'd be disgusting.
Yes, they would all be throwing up in their mouths just a little bit.
I just threw up in my mouth.
That's right. That's the first time you've heard that, isn't it? It's frustrating.
I might actually go down there every Sunday to lead a picket line.
Did I just troll you, man? I'm sorry.
I'm definitely going to be making that a part of my Sunday routine. Going down there with signs and placards and stuff like that. So, oh my gosh, there's so much more in the news this week. We have healthcare, and we have the Russia gate, we have DACA, immigration, North Korea, Rocket Man.
Yes, we've got.
What do you want to hit on? What do you want to hit on?
We got Rocket
Man. But here's the thing, though. Of all the things I just listed to you right there, the biggest news story of the week.
That nobody's talking about.
Nobody's talking about it at all. Not even Breitbart. Oh, by the way, Alabama. Moore versus Strange is going to be this week. This week is the runoff.
I've been following. It's Roy, isn't it? Roy Moore.
Roy Moore.
Judge.
He's a judge. Yep.
Judge Roy Moore. I've been following him on Twitter for a little while now, just recently, and I've kind of looked into him. I haven't looked at Strange at all, but I did look at Moore, and it seems like Moore is a very solid candidate. A very all-American kind of conservative, patriot, and I find absolutely nothing wrong with him. Trump doesn't want to go with Moore. He's going with Strange. That's your choice. I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong. They're both Republicans.
Well, here's the story.
I don't know.
This is the whole story. So Trump has backed Strange, and Strange is the one who was appointed interim when Sessions went up to AG.
Right.
So when Sessions went up, they need an interim, and that's who Strange is. So he's technically sort of like, I don't know if they would call it incumbent or not. Roy Moore is a big-time Trump supporter. There's questions as to how much Strange is an actual Trump agenda guy. It seems like a lot of people out there are calling him more of an establishment guy because he worked for McConnell for a long time.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. Here in Ohio, we have a bunch of people running for governor.
Yes.
One of the persons running for governor is the lieutenant governor appointed to her position by John Kasich, and she's claiming to love Trump and his agenda. Not love like that, but you know what I mean. Not like that.
Because, Kasich is a Democrat.
Yeah, he's totally liberal. He's totally communist. He's totally Democrat. He's all the above. He's total progressive. He appoints this woman, and so it calls into question what kind of woman this is. Well, we met her, right? Brian and I have met her.
We did meet her, yes.
And we also have close friends that are working very hard on her campaign, and they all assure me that she is definitely a Trump supporter and a Trump agenda supporter. So if this is a friend, colleague, and appointee of John Kasich, who we all know is almost as bad as any Republican, any rhino that you could ever name out there. He's right up there with the worst of the worst. The McConnells, the Grahams, the Ryans, all the above. You throw Kasich in there, he's right there. He might even be the number one out of all of them. McCain, Collins, Susan Collins. You throw all of them out there, and you throw Kasich in there, and he's right there with them. So if she gets the pass, then why is Strange? Why is he such a
I got somebody on the scope saying that she's lying.
She may be.
She may very well be to further her agenda, further her career. But I tell you what, I don't know. I mean, we sat there, we talked with her for a while. I heard what she had to say, and if back in 2010. If you were approached by the governor and said, hey, would you like to be my lieutenant? I mean, she was climbing the ladder of a political career.
I wouldn't have turned it down. And here, what if I took it and I did my job, did everything I could to the best of my ability, and it turns out Brian's the one that appointed me, and he turned in to be a full-blown Marxist communist. And then all of a sudden, I try to run as his successor, And I have to shake the fact that he's turned into a communist. Like, guys, I know Brian appointed me. I know what y'all think of him. I know he exposed himself as a full-blown Marxist.
Hanging out with Bill de Blasio, Anthony Weiner,
but
Jerry Brown.
I promise you that I'm not that guy. I swear. So you got to take that into consideration. So the question is that what's Strange? Is Strange the Mary Taylor of Alabama?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Trump seems to think that he's okay, that he's safe. However, we have two different operatives that have two different narratives on this. Either one could be true, not 100% sure which one. One of them says that the reason he's backing Strange is not because he wants to or he trusts him, but because a deal was made between Trump and McConnell that he promises he will back Strange in exchange for something else that we don't know what is. And that's a part of the deal-making process. I'm not saying that Trump has sold us out. I'm not saying that. I mean, it's just a part of the deal-making process. So that's one narrative. And I in the back and forth between this operative, the last word was, well, Kerry, it's better to take your lumps supporting Strange than to take the lumps going back on your word. And Trump does not want to say, hey, I know we made this deal, but you can go screw yourself. That's not a good idea.
Somebody on the scope just said Trump said he may have made a mistake. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? Trump's a deal maker. He's not a mistake maker. He's a deal maker. So we'll see how that pans.
Well, I was going to say what the other one was.
Okay.
The other one is that Strange, as much of a history of being a rhino as everybody's saying he is being rewarded directly by Trump by saying yes, being a yes man to the Trump agenda so far. And so he's rewarding him by saying, well, you've been a yes man for my agenda so far. So those are the two different narratives that I've been fed. Either one could be true. I also heard that if Moore wins, Trump is not going to have any problem whatsoever if that happens. And so when Moore wins, Trump will embrace him with open arms, that there'll be no love lost. And that Moore even knows this. That Moore knows that Trump is just supporting Strange because he has to for whatever reason. Okay. And that Moore's okay with it. So that's what we know so far. To me, if you want to hear a prediction, my prediction is that Moore will win and that Trump will embrace him. And there won't be this controversy of Trump not liking Moore because it wasn't his first choice. Or I don't think it'll be an issue either where Trump takes a political hit for backing the loser. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think that'll happen either.
Right. So I think we're okay with that. That's the story with that.
Him making a deal with Lindsey Graham, somebody said on the scope, Lindsey Graham hasn't done anything for him yet. Why would he do something for him now? Well, Lindsey Graham's bought and paid for. You got to buy and pay these guys. If Lindsey Graham is down with moving funds towards the border wall for Trump to support Strange, I say all in.
Well, yeah, and we don't know. We're not 100% sure if Strange is going to be a problem. I'm telling you, folks, when I hear people say that we can't support Strange because he's a McConnell lackey, I say, well, I mean, everybody's their own person.
Correct.
And if Mary Taylor really is a Trump movement woman, this is a woman that was appointed by her close friend, John Kasich.
And she said he wasn't like that in 2010. She said, I don't know what happened to him. I've never seen this man before.
I tend to kind of remember that what you're saying that she said is accurate. I don't think we thought – this is a guy that was a Fox News contributor back when Fox News was really like the Tea Party propaganda arm. It was the propaganda arm of the Tea Party.
And when we campaigned around Cincinnati for Trump against Kasich, Dude, there's a lot of neighbors that were all in for Kasich no matter what.
Yeah, they just didn't really understand it.
I said, no, but you got to understand he's a Democrat in sheep's clothing. No, he's not. He's a good old boy. He's a working man's man. I'm like,
and
what?
He defunded Planned Parenthood in Ohio.
True that.
And
so how
these
much
were one-issue voters, literally.
Right. So how much do you hate him now? I mean,
right. So
anyways.
Yeah. So that's that. No, the point is that don't completely judge Strange based on the fact that he has a close connection to a guy who we know is a Democrat operative with an R next to his name, which is McConnell. That we know that. Right. That's true. So, but that being said, I don't think Strange is going to win anyway. I think Roy Moore's going to win, and Trump's going to be like, guys, I know I told you guys to vote for Strange, but since you voted for Roy, I'm going to tell you right now, I actually wanted him to win. I just had to fulfill an obligation.
Roy's a good old boy.
He's a good old Trump movement guy.
Trump guy.
So that being said, that's all I got to say about Alabama, and I don't know what else to say about it right now. I mean,
I'm done with that.
I think we're okay. Oh, I will say this: Breitbart, get your heads out of your asses.
They're obsessed. Obsessed.
There's all this, and we're going to move into it today. The biggest story of the week:
Nancy Pelosi.
Well, that's the immigration story. The biggest story is that the deep state has decided to throw all laws out the window to do a coup d'etat of the American people.
Right.
Well, they're going to take over the American people's constitution by getting rid of Trump, circumventing the Democrat process by doing all kinds of illegal stuff, which we now are starting. So that's the biggest story, right? So I wanted to learn more about it, like everybody else listening, and decide, well, there's going to be all kinds of stories about this on Breitbart. Literally, not only was there no stories on it on Breitbart, but every single story was an attempt to go to war against Trump for his backing of Strange in Alabama.
That's insane.
That's what Breitbart did this week. They went to war against Trump because the Breitbart people back more. And it's like, guys, you're being distracted here. The biggest story of the week is the revelations of the Manafort, the wiretapping of Trump's tower.
Who? Oh, Kerry, that's old news, man.
Is it?
That's old news. Oh, that's old.
Is
Man,
it?
Trump Tower wiretap?
Yeah, is that old news?
What it back like during the campaign? They
Oh,
were saying
no.
Wiretap.
Yeah.
He tapped me and nobody got tapped.
Oh, somebody got tapped. Somebody got tapped big time.
Folks, it's a fact. It is absolutely a fact. Barack Hussein Obama and his ilk wiretapped Trump Tower.
By the way, I'm just going to throw this out here. We were going to talk about Russiagate independent of that, but do you know why Russiagate is all over liberal news again this week? Because they're trying to hide the fact that the deep state has been doing things that make Watergate look like
child's play.
Total child's play.
It makes Hillary Clinton bleach bidding.
Well, that's part of it too. All of that. It's like one giant conspiracy. This is the biggest conspiracy
of our lifetime. There's no question about it. It is the largest thing that we know of that's factual. I mean, you talk about other conspiracies and other things that may or may not have happened, but we know this really happened. It's a fact.
This would be like finding the actual smoking gun that George Bush ordered and carried out 9/11.
Right.
Now, I know there's people listening right now that actually are fully 100% convinced that is.
They're committed to that theory.
They're committed to it. And I'm not.
No.
But if somebody were to show me the smoking gun that verifies that this conspiracy is true.
I'd have to look at it.
I'm telling you right now what the Democrats have done for the past 8 years under Barack Obama, under Secretary of State Clinton, Podesta, Rice, all these people, everything that's happened, all of it put together in a giant. First of all, do you know how many movies have been made about the Watergate scandal? It's been quite a few. Some of them are pretty interesting. They're like thrillers.
I saw the one with Robert Redford.
Yeah.
And
was it All the President's Men or something like that? Something that I think it was All the President's Men, but there was also one called Frost Nixon. That was a pretty interesting. These movies are actually kind of interesting. And the reason that these Democrats in Hollywood make these movies is because they're outraged, they're intrigued by the drama behind it, and they want to portray it. They want the world to know about it. They want to use it as propaganda, which is fine as long as it's factual, as long as it's not too far off or steers people in a direction where you would believe things happened that didn't or things didn't happen that did. I'm all for it. What has happened on this wiretapping scandal and the IRS scandal. And,
don't forget about the IRS, folks.
Oh, my gosh. That right there, absolutely. That was at the Lois Lerner thing. Totally impeachable. If you were to make a movie on what the Barack Obama administration did to our country, did to its people, and then on its way out, did to the incoming new administration, this would make you'd be able to make 5-6 different blockbuster thrillers. These would be great thriller type movies that have completely different plots. You could make like 5 movies, different plots, all true, all revolving the Obama administration, and they will never do it. That's the sad part. Here, by the way, which I like to say a lot, I'm starting to notice that.
Okay.
The Nixon thing, him getting he was threatened with impeachment. He ended up resigning because he was told that he's not going to be able to shake impeachment.
When a lot of people looking back, because hindsight's always 20/20, looking back, a lot of folks now say a slam dunk he would have beat impeachment.
Yeah, and my dad, but he was a Democrat at the time, but he was kind of like open-minded.
I think there was Mark Levin talked about how he would have beat impeachment easily.
Well, my dad said, by the way, I got to stop saying that. By the way,
I'll catch you.
He was, it's just backhand me every time. Backhand. So my dad was voting Democrat at the time, all the way up until Dukakis. Yeah, he actually. Yeah,
wow,
that's pretty sad. Wow. That being said, he
was a union man.
He did say that the one thing that was upsetting about the pardon of Nixon by Ford was that he felt like had he gone to trial, because the pardon eliminated any chance for any kind of standing on trial, and he thought that he could have gotten off innocent, that he would have been found innocent by the courts. And by not doing that, and even if he wasn't, at least we would know what happened. And by Ford pardoning him, it didn't give the Republicans a chance to defend him. It didn't give the public to find out whether things that were said about him were true or not true. So that's all, here, that was back in the past. But the point is that this is child's play compared to what they're saying today. They're saying that he didn't even do anything wrong except for the cover-up. Is that the crime? It's the cover-up.
The cover-up of the crime. It's not the nature of the crime. It's the hype of the the hype of the story.
It's not the nature of the evidence. It's the seriousness of the allegations. It's not the nature of the evidence. It's the seriousness of the allegations.
Oh,
I'll
man.
never forget that. I rehearsed that enough to be able to recite it.
You want to go with a
Yeah,
clip?
let's-
All right, so
yeah.
we've got Deface the Nation once again. And
because they were outrageous this week. This is one of the more outrageous weeks for Face the Nation. Deface the Nation.
Deface the Nation, and they are going all in on Russia, which is a combination of everything going on right now.
Back with California Congressman Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee.
Now, you got to know this guy, Adam Schiff.
He was the one that during the intelligence congressional whatever.
Right. He's the one, if you listen to Rush
pure
Limbaugh,
propaganda.
He's the one that Rush Limbaugh refers to as the pencil neck geek.
And he comes out there, and his opening during that hearing was just pure propaganda.
Yeah, no. It was absolutely just all 100% lies.
Yeah.
Leading, misleading, misguiding. It was just unbelievable. So this is the Democrat ship, pencil neck geek from California.
Congressman, I want to start with a deadline that has passed. The committee has asked the FBI and the Justice Department 3 times now to give documents related to the so-called Trump dossier. This is the salacious set of allegations and the FBI has not responded. What's going on?
Well, this is a subpoena that was issued by our chairman, and what's unusual about it is the chair recused himself, or so we thought, from the Russia investigation. He's issued a subpoena to the Attorney General, who has also recused himself. So we have 2 people recused that are seeking documents or refusing to provide documents on an investigation they're supposed to be uninvolved with. But more than that, I think what is really at heart is an effort to discredit Mr. Steele.
What? This is an effort. Do you know who Mr. Steele is?
Please enlighten us, Kerry.
Well, he kind of alluded to it. Right. Mr. Steele is the guy who is being credited with writing the completely proven false dossier, the Russian dossier, the Trump dossier.
Is that the one we did the show on where you read the entire Washington Compost article and we talked about?
No, I think that this was.
This isn't the PP Gate?
No, it is PP Gate.
Okay,
but the article I read from the Washington Compost was Russia.
Okay.
This is the dossier. This is Golden Shower Gate.
Yeah.
This was a different episode that we did from Russia.
So people are trying to discredit Steele.
So Steele is the author of this thing. It has been long known. In fact, as soon as BuzzFeed released the dossier, released the article describing the dossier, which was then covered, that BuzzFeed article was covered by CNN, which was who gave it the credibility.
Because nobody wanted it.
Oh, my gosh.
Nobody.
I'll never forget. I did forget the name of the person, but I'll never forget the actual tweet where this journalist who was like with the Washington Times or something like that said, raise your hand if you've been shopped this dossier to do an article about. It's been making its rounds for months and months and many months, like 9 months. This dossier was making its rounds to the journalists, and the journalists would look at it and they would open it up and they would read it. And by the time they were done reading it, they would say, yeah, no, thank you, man.
It would ruin. This is a career ruin. This would ruin a writer's career,
and it did.
Yes.
It did. Turns out that as soon as it was released by BuzzFeed and then covered by CNN, the dossier was instantly debunked by 4chan.
Right.
4chan said, "Whoa! This was a fanfic." They all knew it was fake. They all knew it was made up. One of the 4chan people took credit for writing it, which is kind of weird, was Mr. Steele, the 4chan person who was – sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about the bumping, guys. There's just a little buzz here. We got a spaghetti roll over here that we're dealing with. But anyway, what was Mr. Steele, the 4chan anonymous guy who was claiming credit for writing the fanfic? Or was Mr. Steele just a guy who found the fanfic and was shopping it around? That was the big question I don't understand. If you listen to mainstream media today, folks, you're going to hear this guy named he's a former MI6 intel guy from Great Britain. He's not even American.
Okay.
And this fanfic is being used as a way to influence the results of our election. So this is the Democrats using a foreign entity to influence the result of our election. Right?
Correct.
Okay. That being said, I've always understood it to be written by this 4chan guy. But mainstream media, they keep talking about this Mr. Steele guy as being the author. So my question is, was the 4chan anonymous guy who took credit for writing it Mr. Steele?
Very well could be.
I don't know.
Very well could
Why
be.
is nobody asking that question? I'm asking.
Well, no, they don't want that question
All right,
answered.
well, folks, you're listening to me ask that question right now. Did the guy on 4chan who claimed credit for writing it, is he the author or is Mr. Steele? So here's my point. We all know it's fake. And here's Mr. Schiff telling us that Trump is just attempting to discredit Steele. We all know it's not real.
Right. It's 100%
it's
not
mind-blowing.
real.
So what does that mean?
Not only is it not real, but the fact there is no law on the book whatsoever that it's illegal for Trump to collude with anybody.
Well, it's also not illegal to urinate on a bed.
No. The bed that Obama and his wife spent the night on. That's in there. They said a year ago it was the same room that Obama and Michelle spent the night in.
And by the way, how is that even collusion?
I don't know.
I think they're trying to say that if the dossier was factual, if it was real, if the fanfic was real, that there could be blackmail performed by the Russians on Trump.
That would be, that wouldn't be the only thing performed.
Right. Okay. So you love my choice of words, don't you? Brian loves my choice of words. So besides that performance, so there could be somehow that leads to collusion. I think the whole thing is so convoluted that for Schiff to talk to us like this, or talk to Jonathan on Face the Nation, as if there was any basis for anything that we should be concerned about, knowing full well that it's been a made-up fiction, it's a fanfic, and that it's been discredited already. For him to act like we should be concerned about the discrediting of this dossier shows that he is the biggest liar that you've ever seen. This guy is attempting to discredit our constitutional democracy based on these lies. He's literally lying to us, and he's trying to use the lies to undermine the credibility of our constitutional election process. It's as simple as that.
Wow. All right, so here's more from Schiff.
In essence, also to put the government on trial as a way, I think, of distracting our focus from looking into what Russia did during the election.
What did they do?
What did they do?
Nobody will answer that.
Well, they exposed Hillary's emails. They hacked her.
Now, by the way, I got to remind something. Nobody knows this anymore. First of all, if you want the full description of what really happened between the DNC and Russia and WikiLeaks, those three entities, right. WikiLeaks, DNC, Russia. If you want to know what really happened between those three entities, go back and listen to Russia, which we broadcast on December 11th, 2016.
It's still up. It's still up there. If you go to smithradio.info, click episodes and then click more, and you'll get it.
And scroll down and they're all in reverse chronological order, so it'll be very quick to find. December 11th. Now, here's what I want to summarize very quickly about what you'll hear us describe in very, very great detail in that episode. And everybody keeps forgetting this. Everybody forgets this. Russia hacks America. Period. Let's just get that fact out of the way.
Well, America doesn't hack anybody else, though, right, Kerry?
We hack everybody.
Oh, okay.
That's what our intelligence communities do. And for us to not recognize or to act like there's something outrageous about Russia intelligence hacking into and attempting to steal or perform espionage on America, or to act like there's some sort of an international law out there that prohibits them from doing this, is just ignorant. All right, so let's just get the fact out right there. Hacking is happening on all sides. Every country has an intelligence organization that is attempting to hack and also surveil. They're constantly surveilling everything that we do. And one of the things we do in counterintelligence is to try to prevent them from doing that. So the fact that Russia either did or attempted to hack the DNC servers, everybody listening right now should know that, duh, right? That's number one.
Right.
Number two, what the Russians may or may not have gotten from the DNC servers has absolutely nothing to do with what was given to WikiLeaks.
No.
In fact, the information taken from the DNC servers and given to WikiLeaks could have been done independently and in parallel with what Russia did.
And with the
and we know
John
that person.
Podesta.
Right, and John Podesta.
John Podesta's emails and a phishing scam, and he gave his password to the scammers that asked for it.
Yeah, it's called phishing. Yeah, the phishing scam. So he fell for a phishing scam.
Phishing with a P.
PH.
PHI.
Right. So the point is, and how do I know this? Brian, how do I know that Russia is not the source of WikiLeaks? Not because, well, one thing is Julian Assange actually said our source is not Russian.
Swears to it that our source is not Russian.
But how are we to believe him? Well, there's additional information that I know that I don't expect a lot of people listening to know, which is why I'm going to tell you. Russia has been doing this to us for 100 years. Not hacking servers, but performing espionage.
You know, back when Al Gore invented the internet back in 1895.
Right. For 100 years, Russia has been doing espionage against everybody, including and especially America, especially when we became a superpower, and especially once the Cold War started back in 1946. All right? So they have never, ever willfully, purposely given away the information that they've obtained.
Right, and that's something we talked about. If Russia had obtained information on America,
or on Hillary,
on Trump, on the CIA, the FBI, if they had inside intel,
they have never.
The worst, well, not only have they never, but the worst idea would be to freely give it away to WikiLeaks.
There's so much more damage that they could do with that information privately.
Oh, yeah.
How are we to believe that Russia would keep the dossier on Golden Showergate secret and just give every single email that they hacked away for free from the DNC servers?
That's dumb.
Right. What really happened was Russia did a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of hacking away, and got that information. That's why, or at least that's what we think is why, our intelligence community believes that Russia hacked the DNC servers. Because they did. But what happened with giving the information to WikiLeaks was an inside job, and that was Seth Rich.
Correct.
Now, that was probably a little bit longer, but
author of that dossier.
Yes.
Let me ask about another development this week. Facebook turned over some information related to Russian efforts to influence the election. What exactly did they turn over, and why is it important?
They're providing us with all of the commercials that Russia used on its platform. But I think what's important for...
Okay, he's going to divert here. That's why I had to stop it. He said that Facebook turned over commercials that Russia played on its platform.
Okay. On Facebook. Yeah. Okay.
What the hell is that?
I mean, couldn't anybody watch the commercials?
Yes.
These are actual paid advertisements, right?
Right.
And he's trying to say that the commercials were somehow
propaganda
of
right. sorts.
First of all, has anybody seen anything like that?
No.
If that was true, let me tell you how Schiff is a liar. If there was any basis in fact that a commercial that showed up on Facebook was in fact Russian propaganda attempting to influence voters to vote for Trump instead of Hillary, we would know exactly what commercials those were. It would be viral. There would be a Richest video. By the way, Richest is a channel on YouTube that does that's all they do is top 10 countdowns.
Okay.
There would be a Richest video with a top 10 Russian propaganda commercials on Facebook.
Paul Joseph Watson would have done a video.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Dice would have done a video. All these guys would have done videos on this stuff.
And where's Jonathan on this interview saying, "Can you? I mean, these are commercials. These were available.
Right.
Can you give me an example? Can you release an example?"
It's funny you bring that up because the folks on the Scope right now, if you're watching us live on Periscope, we go live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want to be a part of the show in the message board, where you got a lot of Trump supporters and no real, there's no hacks, no guys in there trolling you and whatnot, that'd be on Spreaker, and you can get there at smithradio.info. Take you directly there. And if this is your first time listening to the show, thank you very much for jumping on the show. I hope you enjoy what you hear. And if you do, come back, share this, and like this. Our job, we take this seriously. We've been doing this for 4 years. Our goal, our end goal, is to help Trump make America great again, to help the people of America understand more about what's really going on by us exposing the lamestream media, the crooked Hillary Clintons. We dig up this information, we analyze it, we talk about it, and we give it to you. Just as one guy used to tell me, he said, chew on the meat and then spit out the bone. So we do that for you. There's no bone in there. So you guys can enjoy the show all the way through. Share this, like this, and follow Smith Radio on Twitter, and follow me on Twitter as well at Brian P. Smith. And we are talking about Russia, fake news Russia, BBgate, still back in the news. Obama wiretapping Trump Tower, fact. Obama administration using the IRS to stop and shut down American patriots from raising funds and raising money as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, or whatever type of organization of nonprofit status they want. This is just, we are blowing this out of the water. And right now, the congressman out of California, Schiff, this is the What the Schiff Hour.
Yeah.
This is What the Schiff Hour. He's on Face the Nation. And the folks on the Scope right now said that he was never asked a question. It wasn't like a follow-up question.
Oh yeah, I would have been tearing this guy up.
This was just a layout so that Schiff, a congressman for Democrats out of California, can continue to lay the groundwork and the narrative for this false Russiagate to cover up what's real, which is wiretap.
Right.
We'll know is there are a couple real significant issues here. One is, of course, the paid advertising, which was designed not only to help Donald Trump or hurt Hillary Clinton, but more fundamentally to divide Americans, to pit one American against another.
Who's doing that more than the Democrats?
Obama did that.
Obama did that, but also Antifa, Black Lives Matter.
Is this really an
Soros.
interview?
Soros is funding the division of America.
So he's saying that Russia, this is so dumb. This is really, really dumb.
You need to have that queued up.
I got it, but I got other stuff going on. There's too much going on right now. This is so dumb. He's saying that Russia influenced the election by advertising on Facebook with paid ads that were for Trump, against Hillary, and dividing Americans.
He's nuts.
This doesn't even make any sense.
It's backwards day.
On some very divisive issues. It's the kind of cynical campaign you would expect of having a KGB operative running.
Oh, come on! What? This guy is such a hack. This is propaganda.
Because you know who was former KGB.
McMuffin?
I don't know.
No, he was former CIA.
CIA. No, former KGB, head of the KGB, Vladimir.
Oh, yeah.
Vladimir Putin.
Apparently.
There's a lot we don't know yet about it. I think we know only the minimum of the advertising. And, of course, advertising was only one method the Russians used on social media, and this was only one platform. But there's all.
He didn't give any examples.
Carrie, this is one of millions and only one platform. You know how many social medias out there, Carrie? If they did this on Facebook, they would have done this on MySpace.
He's said MySpace. What the? MySpace? Oh, my gosh. 1999 called. They want their intrawebs back. Oh, my God.
So an issue about the use of Facebook's algorithms and the way it tends to potentially reinforce people's informational bias. And this is a problem that goes well beyond Russia. But in one example, if you were looking or interested in an article about Hillary Clinton's health, would the Facebook algorithms result in you seeing a lot more stories about Hillary Clinton's health and reinforce a misperception or inaccurate information? That is a far broader issue than Russia. But
Wait a minute.
It would reinforce it would, Kerry. He is right. Kerry, he's right. He's right.
Oh.
If you go on Facebook and you're looking up Hillary's health,
yeah,
you will get a misperception of what is real. Because the Democrats have it watered down. The Google's got it watered down, so you don't see her falling face down on the ground. You don't see her falling apart on 9/11. You don't see her falling into... By the way, did you Google... oh, damn it, I did it again. I keep wanting to call it Google the meat wagon, but it's Google side of beef.
Oh, side of beef. If
you Google side of beef and hit... You don't have to hit images because, one ad will come up and then under the ad, images show up.
Mm-hmm.
It is Hillary falling into the meat wagon.
Side of beef. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So what he's saying is that if you Google side of beef, that ain't cool, man.
Well, okay. So what do we know about Facebook algorithms? Just from using Facebook.
I get banned often.
No. Let's just talk about the user experience on Facebook.
It's not good for me.
If I click on... a page for youth football.
Right.
Because my kid wants to play football.
Right.
All of a sudden, you'll start getting these ads for like, hey, does your team need T-shirts? Come to Tees for us. And so you start to get these targeted ads. I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Brian, I think Schiff is trying to say that if you click on something like a Mike Cernovich video on Facebook that's asking about Hillary's health or something like that, you would start getting more ads that are related to Hillary's health and kind of give you an unrealistic perception or a misperception, if you will, of the health of Hillary. Maybe she's less healthy than you think she is.
Or if you live in Cincinnati, you might get ads for the Batesville Casket Company.
Did that happen? Brian's getting ads for casket companies because he's asking about Hillary's health. I see what you're saying now. Okay, I can buy that.
Which would reinforce your ideas that she is dead, and that.
Oh, Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's is all the rage, and you guys know this. I'm going to conspiracy theory all y'all. You know this. There were different Hillarys during the campaign. You know this, man.
Definitely. It was proven.
And the one woman was ousted on Twitter.
She
was found out. Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I buy the whole body double thing.
She will be alive in 40-40 for the next... Dude, she's a vampire. Well, she'll live forever.
Now, some of you guys are relatively new to Smith Radio, but some of you really, really long-time listeners know that we were the first on the Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes.
We were definitely... Because we're at that age. We were at that right age when Weekend at Bernie's came out. It was like a blockbuster. It was the summer blockbuster.
And it was played, the first one, not the sixth or seventh one. The first, because how could he still be dead 7 years later? But I digress. The first one we played over and over. Us retarded young adolescent youths enjoyed that movie and Police Academy way too much.
Yeah, Police Academy. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yes.
A whole bunch of them. We referenced Better Off Dead earlier in this program.
Yes.
So there's definitely a lot of those 80s movies. But the point is that we brought that up, and all of a sudden it wasn't very long afterwards that people were referencing Weekend at Bernie's.
Had to.
But what is he talking about?
one that we really need to know a lot more about.
And that's a Facebook problem, not a Russia problem. I mean, that's a problem with their algorithm that keeps us all
that's actually a good
siloed in certain narrow areas.
Yes, that there's certainly a Russian implication because
whoa. Did you see what he just did there?
He answered it with a question he wish he would have asked.
No, Jonathan actually asked a very good question. He said, Schiff. Listen, buddy. I know you're saying that this is about Russia, but you just described a problem with Facebook algorithms. Russia doesn't write Facebook algorithms. Maybe you're talking about
a Facebook problem.
Yeah, maybe people are being ill-informed because the algorithms got a little bit of a problem.
Yes, Kerry, you are correct. This is a Russian problem.
Oh my gosh! Seriously?
Let me see if I clip that back just a couple seconds.
Yeah. Bring it back a couple seconds.
All siloed in certain narrow areas.
Yes, that there's certainly a Russian implication.
What? How?
He was talking about Facebook.
He literally answered a different question, not the follow-up that Jonathan said. It's just...
Because they use these algorithms to amplify misinformation or slanted information. But it's far broader, and we have to ask, is this in our society's interest to create these informational silos?
Is this in society's interest? So he's now, I'm going to go deep with this, he's now entertaining the idea that there should be a thought department.
Oh, man.
That deals with society's best interest based on what they believe society's best interest should be.
Well, maybe he wants
based on false narratives and fake pee-pee gate.
Are they going to regulate Mark Zuckerberg and his staff on how to write algorithms?
Zuckerberg has already stated he is in full compliance and wants the Democrats to win at all costs.
And he wants the Democrats to regulate him even more and say, hey, you've created a silo where information is funneled in a wrong way. It's going the wrong way. You're giving people like successful business owners a chance to win, and you're ruining it for the establishment, and we need to stop this.
You allowed me to become a billionaire. That's your fault. I blame you for all this money I've gotten, all the greed that you've made me have. It's all your fault.
Whose fault?
The Democrats. Somebody else. It's not Zuckerberg's fault.
Oh, my goodness.
What's the impact, though, of these Russian Facebook ads? I mean,
What?
is
What
anybody
ads?
saying that they had any influence on the...
Dude, give us an example. You've got a show. You got this is on TV, guys. This is on TV. They could show an actual ad that they're talking about.
Right.
This is a boogeyman. They're literally reporting on a boogeyman.
That changed the outcome in any possible way? It seems a small amount to have done anything like that.
Well, first of all, that small amount is only what Facebook has thus far confirmed came directly out of Russia.
What?
They have acknowledged.
What? Can we hear about it?
No, it's top secret. It's Facebook. It's Zuckerberg.
Why can't Zuckerberg say, hey, guys, just do a scope. Just say, hey, guys, this is Mark Zuckerberg. Just want to do a scope real quick, even though it's not my platform. He can do Facebook Live.
Yeah,
do
Facebook Live.
This is Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook Live. Just want to point out this ad right here. I'll play it. And when I come back, I'll tell you about this ad. Play it, let us watch it, and then tell us about how it came from Russia, and he suspects that the reason that the ad says what it says and shows you what it shows you is to manipulate you as a voter. But he's not, because it didn't happen.
That they haven't looked or analyzed or completed a report yet on advertising Russia may have done through third countries.
Okay, so the report is not complete, but they may have manipulated it through multiple countries to make it look like it was the former Yugoslavia that was involved in some kind of meddling, or maybe
they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
The guys out of Romania, because nobody does any crooked dealings anymore out of what was that? Nigeria. Used to be Nigeria,
Nigeria,
but now
right.
It's Romania, folks. I've got contacts in Romania too.
So do
Good
I.
guys. Good
Okay.
guys.
All right.
So Russia will use proxies in the Caucasus or other parts of Europe to potentially buy ads or amplify misinformation. And of course, this is just one platform the Russians were using. This has nothing to do with the Russian use of bots on Twitter. So if
Okay, they are giving Russia way too much credit, or they are saying that we are mindless idiots in America.
That is a
we are
problem.
so dumb. We are so dumb that we can't decipher advertisers on the internet, and we're falling for John Podesta phishing scams out of Nigeria, which it
just
doesn't
because
happen anymore. It's Romania.
Just because John Podesta's a moron doesn't mean that you have to paint us all with that broad brush.
look at the full extent of Russian use of social media, was it in any way decisive or determinative? Hard to say because we really have so little information thus far.
What? He's admitting he has no information.
He just said, was it decisive? Was it discernative? You know what? We don't know.
We don't know anything. And the reason is
I don't even have an ad to show you.
We have so little information. We don't even have an ad to show you.
We've scratched the surface, and this is going to take us 7 years
This kind
to
of
complete.
Wow, I didn't want to open up this can of worms. It kind of reminds me of evolution. People, evolutionists, they're like, man, we're all from the same. We all evolved from all these different species.
Right.
But they can't show one example
No,
of evolution.
Never.
It's like, okay, can you give me can you show me evolution? No, they can't. They can't show it. What happens over millions and millions?
It's hard, Carrie.
Trillions of years, quadrillions of years.
Carrie, it's just so hard.
But it's certainly happening.
Of course it did.
You know how we know Russia influenced our election? Because Hillary lost. That's proof.
Right.
That's proof right there. I'm telling
Although
you.
she was down with Russia and took hundreds
Whoa.
of millions of dollars from Russia.
Whoa, that's
she
fake
did a
news.
deal as
That's fake
Secretary of
news.
State.
No. Why are you saying fake news?
Her brother was on the board of directors of the company that was bought out by Russia
Just making this stuff up.
for Uranium One or Uranium
I
One.
don't believe it.
20% of America's uranium. I mean, if anybody had anything to do, and this week earlier, Snuffleupagus said Trump and one of Trump's guys, one of his salesmen, one of his guys,
Employees.
talking with Russia about building a skyscraper in Russia, and we believe leaks have told us that the Russians said to the contractor that was Trump's contractor, man, we could get this guy to be president.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
And so that's the smoking gun.
I don't believe any of this stuff.
The extent of Russian use of social media.
Let me ask you about some other news that came out this week. There were reports that that Paul Manafort, the former chairman of the Trump campaign, was in fact wiretapped, 2 different periods. President Trump said at one point in a tweet that Trump Tower was wiretapped, and he was pretty much ridiculed for that. But now we have reporting that Paul Manafort was wiretapped. He had an apartment in Trump Tower, so maybe the president was right.
No, I don't think so at all.
You'll let him answer.
He did. He said no.
And in fact, not only did Director Comey and Director Mike Rogers of NSA say there was no truth to the president being wiretapped at Trump Tower, but the Department of Justice recently confirmed that was false as well.
So all the deep state confirmed that the lie was true.
Comey's fired, and he lied under oath.
Yeah.
So how is it that you're using a liar
Well, they're saying
as proof to back you up?
He's saying that since they said it and they have the position that they have, that proves that no, we were right. He was not wiretapped.
We had the former president of the Homeowners Association. She was the president. She said, because she was familiar with the situation, that there was nothing true about it that she knew of. She was president, Carrie.
Okay.
Of the HOA.
She couldn't lie.
In LBC.
I just hope that Comey goes to jail for lying under oath to Congress.
Can't comment on whether Mr. Manafort was ever the subject of surveillance of any kind.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Let me back that up a little bit. Listen to what he's saying, folks.
Power, but the Department of Justice recently confirmed that was false as well. I can't comment on whether Mr. Manafort was ever the subject of surveillance of any kind. Even
if you can't comment on it, then why are you commenting on it?
Well, he's about to.
Though, that just doesn't justify or suggest that the president was wiretapped improperly by Barack Obama. So there's no
improperly.
Did you hear that? Oh my God!
Yeah, he's like, look, he may have been tapped like crazy, but at least it was proper.
Yeah, I mean, we're not.
When we tap
proper. Thank you, Kerry.
I will say, with respect to Manafort, though. The allegation that he was reaching out to Russian oligarchs close to Putin and suggesting that he would offer them useful information to them while he was campaign manager, at the very same time the Russians are reaching out to him to offer information on Hillary Clinton, that is of deep concern to us.
Yeah, because we've got no proof of that ever happening. That's why we're concerned about it.
But even if we didn't have proof or did have proof, we certainly wouldn't be able to comment on it here.
No. But the fact that we don't have proof makes me very uneasy. We're talking about bombs here, man.
Okay.
But just going back to the president for a minute, I mean, he said Trump Tower was wiretapped, and Manafort lives in Trump Tower. I mean,
dude, he's pushing it.
He's not letting him get away with this.
It might not be precisely letter for letter what was going on, but it's a heck of a lot closer than what people were originally ridiculing the president for.
Well, I think this is far from, an issue of whether it's letter for letter. The president suggested that Barack Obama was illegally wiretapping him. If the
No, Trump said Trump Tower was wiretapped. Legal or illegal, that would be a huge problem that you wiretap the opposition candidate during a campaign.
Right. And the fire hoops that they jumped through to make sure that they had the ability to surveil them all the way through the campaign was sufficient to show that it seems like they were doing it specifically to get an advantage on them politically in the presidential race.
Yes.
This is so far beyond the pale of anything that Nixon would have ever dreamt of doing. It's unbelievable. It's not even close.
Administration was engaged in legal surveillance of someone they believed may have been an agent of a foreign power. We should want the administration to do that, and that's a far cry from the kind of illegal surveillance the president was suggesting.
Why should we want that? No.
Kerry, you don't understand. We know Manafort might have known people that were familiar with Russian oligarchies. I love how he uses oligarchies.
Wolfman just said Schiff is in on it. In fact, he won't acknowledge anything. He's guilty.
He's getting paid.
Yeah, Schiff, he is obviously a major, major player, and we knew that with his opening statement in the congressional hearing.
Oh, absolutely.
Really, really full-blown lying propaganda.
Full-blown dog whistle to the oligarchies that are paying him.
Right.
To let them know that their cover will not be blown. Oh, my goodness. Is that about it on this knucklehead?
North Korea. You oversee the intelligence communities. Mike Morrell, the deputy director of the CIA, who's a CBS senior analyst, says the U.S. may not know. North Korea may be further along. Do you worry about that, further along in their nuclear program?
I do worry about it. We have imperfect vision on what North Korea is doing, but we have to assume that in the near future they're going to be able to marry that nuclear technology with their ICBM technology. So whether they're further ahead, we have to presume that may be true, and we need to act accordingly.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll be right back.
Wow, my goodness.
I guess that's a good segue to get into the North Korea debacle. So I guess it's in the news this week because Donald Trump called him Rocket Man at the UN.
Hysterical.
And then Kim Jong-un comes back and calls him a whatever that word was.
Dodung.
Dotard.
Dotard.
And
so all the left-wing nut jobs, Keith Olbermann and the likes, all are quoting Kim Jong-un, a dictator, literally praising a dictator and quoting him versus siding with a freely elected president of the United States.
Right. They're communists.
If that doesn't tell you who they are siding with a dictator.
Yes.
A round
Well, a communist
tater-tot-looking guy.
A communist dictator. They love him because they want America to be a communist dictatorship too. And they want to be the ones to run it. And they want to be the ones to control the people and to limit freedom and limit all that stuff. And property ownership and capitalism, all that kind of stuff.
So let's hear the clip where Trump throws that out there and what he's talking about. If this is in context or not, you let me know, folks. Put that up there on Twitter. Share this on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Like it. Thumb it up. Follow us. And tell me right now, I'm going to play the sound clip, and you tweet out what you think of Donald Trump's Rocket Man statement to the UN, at the UN, to knucklehead boy Kim Jong-un.
No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more. We were all witness to the regime's deadly abuse when an innocent American college student, Otto Warmbier, was returned to America only to die a few days later. We saw it in the assassination of the dictator's brother using banned nerve agents in an international airport.
Yep.
We know it kidnapped a sweet 13-year-old Japanese girl from a beach in her own country to enslave her as a language tutor for North Korea's spies. If this is not twisted enough, now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life. It is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime, but would arm, supply, and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about. That's what the United Nations is for. Let's see how they do.
That's Trump. That's Trump's Rocket Man statement at the United Nations. The entire speech was about nationalism. Literally, Trump giving other countries a lesson on what their citizenry is and how they're supposed to treat them. You're supposed to lift up your citizens, not push them down. And then the Rocket Man took off. The whole Rocket Man statement took off. Even Jimmy Kimmel, that idiot, in the late night talk shows, everybody making fun of Trump, calling him Rocket Man and saying, oh, he stole an Elton John song title, Rocket Man. I had no idea. Do you know where he got Rocket Man?
Where he got it? I mean,
why would he just out of the blue call him Rocket Man? Seems kind of strange, huh?
Well, he'd be the right age for being a Elton John fan. Maybe a little bit on the older side, but definitely right there. I mean, my dad was a big Elton John fan way back in the day, and so the age is a factor, but also the name of the song, Rocket Man. Obviously, he's firing off rockets, so. It would be something that you would pop up.
Here is CNN, Jeanine Moo. Jim Moos.
Okay.
She actually lets the cat out of the bag, and she shouldn't have, because she actually takes a little bit of light away from this and tells the folks where Rocket Man originally came from, and it wasn't Trump who invented it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a verbal missile. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission that exploded on social media. Reaction ranged from infantile to awesome, tweeted one critic.
We're in so much trouble.
Till other countries respect this nation again, tweeted another. I would bet you Kim Jong-un likes being called Rocket Man. Posted someone else, leave Elton John alone.
What's your favorite kind of music? What music do you listen to?
Well, I think Elton John is great.
No word on whether Elton John thinks it's great. That the president is using his song. Google says searches for Rocket Man have skyrocketed.
He's using the word.
It was The Economist magazine that first dubbed Kim Jong-un's father Rocket Man back in 2006. The president first tweeted the insult Sunday.
He named Kim Jong-un after an Elton John song, Rocket Man. I would have gone with Tiny Dancer, but, I'm not the president.
One fan tweeted of President Trump, he's a master troll and brander. For those who say President Trump is trolling North Korea's leader, look, a President Trump troll doll actually exists. The President of the United States is trolling, and Elton Jong-un is live in concert. Jeanine, CNN, New York.
Oh, my gosh, that's so funny.
So The Economist actually dubbed Kim Jong-un's dad Rocket Man.
Okay. And
back in the 2000s.
Okay, and so this would have been something that maybe Trump would have heard at the time.
Well, yeah, because Trump was obviously Trump is politically astute worldwide because of even in his book in 1999 when he wrote and he talked about the World Trade Towers possibly being torn down, predicting that Osama bin Laden would do that. So Trump is politically astute in international politics as well as local politics. So Kim Jong-il being coined Rocket Man, why would,
it goes back to...
why would you not?
Well, yeah, they seem to... They like to fire off rockets kind of like 1930s Germany, I guess.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, this will be cool. Let's see if we can get up to space with this or something.
Am I worried about it? Am I upset about it? How do you feel about Trump calling him Rocket Man?
I don't care about that. I'm more worried about... do I think rhetoric could end up escalating to actual action? I don't know. One thing, when does the North Korean regime end? The whole thing about North Korea, and if you follow me and watch my scopes, I did a whole tutorial on the history of North Korea, and it's all in context of the Cold War. The Cold War is over. The Cold War centered around Russia being the USSR, a communist nation, and they were trying to take over the world with communism using the old domino effect, where they would have these little regimes turn to communism, and each adjacent country would go with it, and they called it the domino effect or whatever. And so North Korea was a part of that, and it's gone now, and it's kind of like, why are we putting up with this anymore? Should we tolerate this kind of, like, if you're going to be a communist regime, at least don't mess with the rest of the world, the communist
you keep your communism to yourself.
As long as your poverty doesn't spill over into neighboring countries like Venezuela. Luckily, Cuba is just an island, because if they weren't, their poverty would be spilling over into countries adjacent to them. And, so as long as that's not a problem, and as long as your poverty or violence doesn't become the source of daily international news, fine. But when you start using what little tiny resources that you have to make weapons of mass destruction and all that. It's like, why are we putting up with this crap anymore? And I'll tell you what, I actually forgot this until Brian showed that clip earlier. I think that death of Otto
Warmbier. Yeah, Otto Warmbier. Yeah.
Otto Warmbier. I think that really hit Trump's core. I think that hit him to his emotional core, and I think he's out for vengeance for Otto, if nothing else. I think he's really. I think he feels like he's got to do something about that.
Well, all the oppression and there's a video clip that I aired on a Periscope, a video of a woman who escaped North Korea as a child. She's probably in her 40s now, but she escaped North Korea. She talks about her awakening, if you will, as a young girl in North Korea. Her first memory, everything was good for her. She said, we never had any problems, nothing at all. And then my mother got a note one day from a friend of mine at school, and the note said, this will probably be the last correspondence you'll have from us because we haven't eaten in weeks, and we are dying, and we will probably be dead by the time you receive this.
Wow.
She was walking to the train station, and there was a woman laying on the street with an infant child, under like maybe a 3 or 4 year old child, clinging to the mother, not understanding, but the mother was dead. And the baby was malnourished, and you could just clearly see it in the street, and nobody stopped.
Oh, my gosh.
Nobody stopped because they were too focused on where their next crumb, where their next morsel will come from to hopefully keep them alive.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff almost, at least for a while, was happening right after communist Russia fell, the USSR fell, and there were people like dying of electrocution because they were going to take the copper down from the power lines and resell it on the open market, the black market, I guess. And there were bodies hanging from power lines because they touched the wrong thing, and they ended up getting zapped. And you just see these dead bodies randomly in USSR when it first fell.
And this is what socialism will get you to.
Yeah.
Socialism will eventually get you to either a communist state where the family owns and runs the whole thing, or a complete and utter dictatorship like what Hugo Chavez set up down there in Venezuela, what the Castro regime has set up in Cuba, and we're looking at North Korea. There was two options, folks, after World War II. Two clear paths to go by. You need to learn this. We need to learn this. We need to reiterate this again and again and again and teach your children. After World War II, North Korea and South Korea started at ground zero, at day one, and said, okay, go. You go communist, we'll go capitalist.
May the best man win.
You're right. We'll see you at the finish line.
Right.
Well, the finish line has long been passed, and communism hasn't even started the race.
Yeah, and humanity would be doing a hell of a lot better today if communism didn't infiltrate capitalism, or I should say democratic states such as the United States. I mean, we've been really, really tamped down, and it's like throwing an anchor out the ship and trying to steam ahead.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing when you have Barack Obama come in to office, who is a communist, full blown, and he introduces a giant, huge piece of the communist puzzle with healthcare. You know, we're somebody threw the anchor out. We're going to be dealing with that. We're going to be talking about healthcare real soon here too on this episode.
Yeah, and I'll wrap this up. Trump spoke about Venezuela and Cuba as well. This all connected and tied together. We've got to expose these dictatorships, these communist states. We've got to expose them. You've got to understand how they got there. They didn't get there overnight. It's slowly and slowly, like the frog in a pot of water, turn up the heat slowly and slowly, and he'll never know, and he'll actually boil to death without jumping out. The thing is that is exactly what the Democrat regime wants to have happen. They want nothing more than power and money. And well, Brian, what about the Republicans? Yes, they want power and money too. That's why we've got to expose the rhino Republicans, the John McCain's, the Lindsey Graham's, expose all of them for who they are and their agenda. So Trump took, while he was at the United Nations, This is a clip of him speaking about Cuba and Venezuela and the situation at hand.
And prosperous societies in their own regions. That is why in the Western Hemisphere, the United States has stood against the corrupt, destabilizing regime in Cuba and embraced the enduring dream of the Cuban people to live in freedom. My administration recently announced that we will not lift sanctions on the Cuban government until it makes fundamental reforms. We have also imposed tough, calibrated sanctions on the socialist Maduro regime in Venezuela, which has brought a once thriving nation to the brink of total collapse. The socialist dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro has inflicted terrible pain and suffering on the good people of that country. This corrupt regime destroyed a prosperous nation by imposing a failed ideology that has produced poverty and misery everywhere it has been tried. To make matters worse, Maduro has defied his own people, stealing power from their elected representatives to preserve his disastrous rule. The Venezuelan people are starving, and their country is collapsing. Their democratic institutions are being destroyed. This situation is completely unacceptable, and we cannot stand by and watch. As a responsible neighbor and friend, we and all others have a goal. That goal is to help them regain their freedom, recover their country, and restore their democracy.
Do you realize what he's saying? Do you realize what Trump is saying? Trump is literally talking to Venezuela, the government, and saying, we need to help your people regain their freedom from your grip, from your monster iron grip of dictatorship, communism, the evils that you're doing right now. We must stop you from doing that because you are killing your people.
I guess. I mean, what should he do about it, though? I mean, we could aid them, or what? I mean, we don't go to war with them because they're in such shambles.
No, it'd be an absolute joke. It'd be a travesty. You'd have to put the hurt on them. It's unfortunate, but you'd have to tell the government either you get it right, you allow the United Nations to come in and work with you on getting it. That
sounds like they just need complete regime change, which is really sad. I mean, how do you do it? Peaceful regime change is really, really difficult because those in power, we're finding this out in America. We can't even have a peaceful election anymore. No. We are at war right now in a place where most people don't see. It's like happening between the deep state and the Trump movement, really. Right. The establishment / deep state / I would say deep state is, for those of you that don't know, deep state is permanent government employees. Establishment refers to elected officials who are a part of this banana republic cabal, both Democrats and Republicans, who together make up this good old boys network. And they are all in bed with the deep state. Most of the deep state has been put in place by these establishment people. The Trump movement is what basically makes up made up of the people who aren't a part of this establishment. They're just regular old American patriots who like self-government. They like the founding of the country. They agree with the Constitution. They agree with the Bill of Rights. They agree with individual freedom. They don't need to be led around or manipulated by the government or those that are a part of the establishment. And there's an absolute full-blown knockdown, drag-out war right now between those two entities right now. And you either belong to one side or the other. And sometimes you don't even know. You don't even know if you're a part of the one side or the other. You're just like, this is just the way I feel. And you need somebody like us to say, well, what is it that you want? What is it that you like? Who is it that you're supporting? And we could look at all that and say, okay, well, you are a part of the Trump movement, or you are a deep state person, or
Right.
an establishment person.
Right.
So, yeah, it's scary.
Well, and the first thing that they want to do, if they cannot get your guns away from you, which they've been trying to do that for decades.
Right.
Actually, they've been trying to get our guns away from us for hundreds of years. That's their goal. Got to de-arm the population. That hasn't happened yet. So go after us from like a two-front war. Come at us from another way, and that is to take our health care from us and have us dependent, our health, our livelihood, our actual well-being is now dependent upon the government. Once that happens, folks, that's it. They're winning at this thing, and we've got deep state holdovers like John McCain. Is John McCain a deep state holdover?
Well, he's an elected official, so we'll call him establishment, but he's absolutely working very closely with the deep state in order to empower himself, empower his friends. It's literally banana republic time now.
I'll give you my personal opinion, and again, if you've seen the scopes throughout the week, you know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to reiterate it once again. My personal opinion, based on the things that I've seen in the past, based on my understanding of Trump, based on the understanding of who John McCain is, this week's healthcare debacle, this mess, this nightmare.
The healthcare, yeah.
My personal opinion is that this was designed not necessarily to pass. This was designed to show John Q. Public, to show all of America who the nasty boys are, who the ones that we need to continue. 2018 is just a few months away.
Yeah, it's not very far. We're going to find out. We're going to find out who's with who supports what, and we're going to have votes coming up.
And I'm saying that this was Donald Trump putting out the smoke signals to let the American people know, hey, this is who these guys are. These are the bad ones. You got the John McCains, the Paul Ryans, the Mitch McConnells, the Lindsey Grahams. These are the ones that are not making it happen. These are the ones that are fighting me. I don't know if this was supposed to happen, but I have a feeling it wasn't meant to pass. It was more of an election gotcha, if you will. I know John McCain's not up for re-election, but some of the other Democrats are that were with him that Trump needs to expose as who they are so that we see this and vote somebody else into power. Right. It's just a feeling I got. I don't know. I think it would have been a mess if it did pass, though.
Well, I mean, the problem is...
Speaking to our inside guy.
Yeah, and the problem is that we are stuck with Obamacare when nothing is put up and voted on and passed.
Right.
And it seems like they have won the narrative, they have won the battle in convincing the people that let's just not bring up repeal only. That's just off the table. It's off the table in everybody's mind. Think about it. If you're listening to me right now, did you forget that there's a repeal only possibility? It's like it's been properly propagandized, I guess, that repeal only will not happen. No. Now we have friends that say that it shouldn't happen because it would be a disaster for a bunch of different reasons. I'm not in the healthcare industry. I'm in the philosophy industry, and I could tell you why healthcare is not a right. Right? You know what I mean?
No, not even close.
Yeah, it's not a right. But there's people that are very, very conservative, very good friends of mine, very big Trump supporters, big-time Trump supporters. But they're in the healthcare industry. And they tell me, and they tell Brian, that we can't do just a flat repeal because there would be a massive collapse of the entire healthcare system because it has been broken down so severely by Obamacare. So what needs to happen, it sounds to me, is a bridge between what we have under Obamacare now and what we'll end up with one day, which means a replace. When they say replace, they means at the very least we need some sort of a bridge to get us from where we are to where we need to go. And the problem is, it sounds like this new healthcare bill, the Graham-Cassidy bill, which, by the way, I don't think it's not released to the public. So the only thing we have to go on is interviews of people who have seen it, read it, or wrote it. All right? And Graham has been interviewed, and some other people that have seen it have been interviewed. And it sounds to me like they're going to take Obamacare, and instead of all these mandates coming from the federal government, they're just going to tell the states that they are to come up with the way to accomplish Obamacare. And it's all on them. But what we're going to do is we're going to collect all the money from all over the entire country, every state, all 50 states, all the territories. We're going to collect all your tax money. And then we're going to dole that out to each state in what they call block grants. Okay. And then you're going to use that money to execute Obamacare in your own state. And when I asked if this is like having 50 different versions of Romneycare, remember Romney?
Romney did it for Massachusetts.
Yeah, he was. In fact, they say that Obamacare was initially modeled off of Romneycare in Massachusetts.
You know, that really didn't help his campaign
election. I think that's what destroyed it. What ruined Romney was that he was the Obama of Massachusetts. So that's what hurt. That's what hurt Romney. So the answer I got to that was, yeah, that's about right. That's about right. We're going to have Romneycare in all 50 states. Well, Romneycare was a disaster.
Right. Any kind of governmental run. The government doesn't run anything efficiently.
And source.
Even the military war is not efficient if you think about it.
Okay, so our source has told us, has asked us this question and asked us to ask everybody else this question. Do you trust your governor to run your health care?
No.
Now, first of all, we got Kasich, so obviously the instant answer is hell no.
Right.
But some of you guys might have good, responsible, conservative governors that might be able to run some sort of a government-run health care from their state, whatever. But what do you think's going to happen when a giant state that's big enough, that is big enough to be considered on its own the fifth largest economy in the world.
California.
Yeah, California. If Governor Brown decides we're going to go full-blown commie care.
Because he is communist. They have been talking about that. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah. They want to go full-blown single-payer. If given the opportunity to go single-payer, full-blown, Graham Cassidy, and by the way, this is right out of Graham's mouth. I heard him in his interview with Hannity. Yes, Brown in California will absolutely, as will any other state in the country, will be allowed to use their new power to go full-blown single-payer. His excuse, I kid you not, his excuse for allowing that to happen is, well, we should allow it to happen. That way, when it fails, we'll all see not to do that. I swear that's what he said to Hannity. He said we should allow it to happen. We know it doesn't work. We know it's going to fail, and you know what he said will happen to the citizens of California? That they'll just move to an adjacent state. Now, think about it. Brian, you lived in California for 10 years.
You're
married.
Everybody was leaving.
Well, hold on a second. Let me walk this through. I'm going to walk this through step by step because you got ahead of me there. You got ahead of me. Now, your wife lived there her whole life.
Correct.
She has family that have lived there her whole life.
Yep, still live there.
My argument to you is your wife only left because she found you. You guys ended up getting married. You had a cousin named Carrie that said, dude, you need to leave that joint. You need to come back to where you grew up. And you had a place to go. And you convinced your wife this will work out. This will be better for us. Other than that, are people really, like, I'm not talking about these rich elites. I'm not talking about the coastal mansion people who own giant corporations. Even then, are they really leaving? Are Hollywood elites leaving California?
This is going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind.
Are people, are the little guys, leaving, like somebody just lives somewhere in L.A., are they really leaving to adjacent states?
I had a really good, honest worker, one of my best workers ever. I was in construction business. One of my best workers ever. I would pick him up in the morning because he didn't have a car, but he had a huge family.
Okay.
He might have been illegal. I don't know. Probably was. I don't know. But he didn't speak English very well. But he was an incredible worker. And I just couldn't do without. And I paid him very, very well. That's why he stayed with me. Well, just before 2008 imploded and just destroyed everything out there, things were getting bad. And he kept telling me that him, his two brothers, their wives, their children, and the grandparents, so the whole family, all of them, they all lived in one house. They're all going to go and leave. I say, you're going to leave? What? You just pick up and leave? He's like, yeah, we're going to Nevada. We're going to Vegas. That's where the money's at. Man, Brian, you don't know. The construction money, he told me he'd get me into HVAC and we'll be running it. It's huge in Vegas.
So my initial thought that it was ignorant to think that people, well, let's put it to you this way.
So he drove to Vegas.
Did it work?
Vegas imploded.
Oh, so it was bad timing.
Exponentially worse than L.A.
Right. So
I never heard from him again.
But he could have, he went to Nevada, but he could have gotten lucky and went to a city that prospered.
Well, he said he was going to Vegas.
Okay,
but here's the other thing, too. You're like, okay, well, that's just one guy. No, that's one guy and his whole family. They migrate like that. They go where the money is, and they don't have no qualms about it. Okay. These are the underling, the workers. Hollywood, they don't need to physically go to Vegas. They digitally move their entire life and their bank accounts to Vegas.
Okay.
I know. I've done it. It's legal. You pay tax where your money lands. So if you work for somebody in Los Angeles and they want to pay you, you say, okay, great. Direct deposit this into my bank account in Vegas.
And then you pay the Vegas taxes and stuff.
Zero.
Or Nevada taxes.
Nevada tax, zero.
Okay. All right.
California tax, as much as they want.
So the point is then that I was jumping the gun when my initial reaction that people will just leave the state in droves. I think they'll lose their best and the brightest, but then there's going to be people that just don't have the means or they just don't have the ambition,
And those stay and collect welfare if they don't have a job.
Well, and Cincinnati's one of these towns where generation after generation after generation, people kind of stick around, especially on the west side. And even if all kinds of policies were put into place that would make it a lot easier, smarter, wealthier, prosperity-wise, all this stuff, would be better to leave the west side of Cincinnati, even then, a lot of people would stay anyway. So it kind of makes me wonder.
Cincinnati's a whole nother ball game, man.
So there was some truth into what Graham was saying then, as far as people leaving. And definitely true about the best and the brightest.
Yeah, but that's no good. You don't want but that's no good, man. You don't
Well,
want
that's
to
what he
go
was
down
saying.
like that.
Well, he was saying that it's not good and they'll find out the hard way. That's what
I don't want any state to have to go down that road, because if California goes down that road, the pain and the anguish and the troubles and the trials that they're going to have to go through, the rest of the nation is going to have to absorb.
Right. So they're going to ask for a bailout.
Yes.
And there's going to be a lot of other states.
And then Kasich's going to want a bailout.
Kasich will want a bailout. I don't think he'll go single payer.
No, he just wants money.
He wants a bailout no matter what.
He just wants money.
Right. So the point is, look, healthcare is not a right. If you haven't heard me say this one real quick, let me give you my quick monologue on that. Healthcare is a service that requires labor of people, nurses, doctors, and all that stuff. And you should, whenever you claim something is a right that requires the labor of another person, you're basically for slavery. I'm the first one to point that out. There's been several people, high-profile commentators out there that have recently figured that out. But if you're into the John Locke-type philosophy, you will quickly learn that, look, service is labor, and labor is property. And when you force somebody, when your labor becomes somebody else's right, you are effectively a slave.
I've got two people on this scope that have just, one said at Not Realistic One, said she ran from San Diego 15 years ago, didn't look back. And another one says,
well, I stand corrected, Ben.
the California migration to Washington State has ruined us.
Has ruined California?
Washington State.
Oh, ruined Washington. Oh, so you're saying all the riffraff left, too. So the Best and Bryce and the riffraff.
I mean, what do you do?
I'm shocked that, you know why California is as wealthy as they are. It's because they have a huge export called entertainment.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they won't leave. The entertainment.
Okay, so somebody says, oh, this is ridiculous. Why is healthcare not a right? That's a good question.
Because, it needs to be explained, and it's important. You shouldn't just say it's not a right and not have the explanation. Please don't start screaming to everybody that it's not a right unless you have a sufficient explanation. Health care happens when a doctor works on you or when a nurse works on you. If they don't work on you, you're not getting health care. If a pharmacy doesn't work on putting together everything they need to do and work to produce pills, drugs, then you won't be getting health care. So these things, these products such as medications and these services such as doctors doing surgeries or doing whatever, doing a house call or doing a doctor's appointment, whatever. This stuff requires their labor. As soon as what are the rights that we know? The right to free speech, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. None of those things require the labor of another person. All it's saying...
The right to own a gun.
Yeah, the right to own a gun. This is not... Or to bear arms. To bear arms.
Right.
None of this stuff requires the labor of another person. But as soon as you say health care is a right, now you're saying, you, doctor, work on me. Oh, okay, here's my prices. No, I don't have any money. I need it. You can provide it. Get over here, or else you are in violation of some sort of a bill of right, right?
Right.
If it was a right, you can't live in a country that respects labor and property as ownership.
Okay, she's on the scope. The individual is a little bit confused. Just as a vehicle service, healthcare is a service,
right? That requires the labor of a doctor or nurse,
right? So you're mandating that a person do a specific service for someone else based on the price that the government decides to pay.
Or anybody.
Now we've got socialism at hand.
Well, it's slavery, actually.
Right. You're now enslaving people. And the biggest problem with this, when you say it's a right, is that you lose the brightest and the smartest doctors.
Yeah, they don't want to be a part of that.
They don't want nothing to do with it because they cannot sell their labor, the education, the years of education, the money they've spent, all the time, the effort, and the passion. It would be like saying that I have a right to a vehicle. No, you don't have a right to a vehicle.
If you have the right to have your vehicle serviced when it breaks down, you're effectively enslaving the auto mechanic.
You've got to look at the human body in that same sense as that the human body needs to be fixed. If you're not taking care of yourself, and this thing about pre-existing conditions are lazy SOBs that didn't want to buy insurance in the first place.
Well,
they had it.
Hold on, there are, and I'll play devil's advocate real quick. There are definitely pre-existing conditions that people could have that are not the result of being lazy. Definitely, for sure.
Sorry, somebody said, I have the right to not have a rip-off health care. Yes.
You have the
called
right. Capitalism.
Yes, that's capitalism. You have the right to not be ripped off.
Right. That's called capitalism. If these companies had to compete across state lines, then it would be very difficult for them to rip you off because you could go around and shop around for different health insurance companies. And if somebody's charging you too much or they're not giving you good enough service, you can then leave them and go to a competitor. Competition between companies produces very high quality goods and services and very cheap goods and services. At the same time, it's the only way. Capitalism is the only way that phenomenon happens.
Okay, pre-existing conditions can be genetic.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, that's fine. Well, if your parents have insurance that they chose to keep,
well, hold on.
Come on, man.
Okay, so I
got in a wreck the other day, and then the judge said, "Where's your insurance?" I said, "Oh, I didn't have it." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because after the wreck, I went to go buy some, and the insurance company said, no, we can't give it to you because you got a pre-existing wreck."
So
man.
Hold on. We have a conundrum here. We have a conundrum that this is why the entire country is up in arms about health care. They're trying to say that you must provide health care for pre-existing conditions. That is incompatible with our health care industry being funded with insurance. That's incompatible.
Right.
So how do we solve that conundrum? We have to be able to...
I've got it. It's the same way they solved the conundrum with flood insurance.
Oh, yeah? How's that? FEMA.
I cannot buy flood insurance for my house, and my house isn't in a flood zone.
Okay.
I am on a hill.
Right.
This house will never flood out. The basement looks out over a hill. The water will go through and keep pushing out. I can't get flooded, and that would be the basement. So my first and second floor will never see water. I asked the insurance company for flood insurance just out of gee whiz, and they're like, no, we don't sell that. I'm like, who does? Nobody does. I'm like, well, how do I get it? Call FEMA. I'm like, are you for real? They're like, yeah. After such and such happened, the federal government took over all flood insurance nationwide.
Okay, so what Brian might be hinting at here is exactly what was written on DonaldJTrump.com during the entire campaign, and I can't find that page anymore. I'm so angry about that. If anybody listening can find the actual pages of DonaldJTrump.com from back when he was campaigning, which I don't know how to find that. There are people out there that can actually find that
Would
stuff.
that be in the dark web?
I don't know, but I would I'm so mad I didn't screenshot all that stuff. His idea for the healthcare issue, when you clicked on issues on that website, was actually a brilliant solution to the conundrum. Basically, what he suggests is a single payer option for people with either pre-existing conditions or who cannot otherwise pay for the rising cost of healthcare insurance. Insurance, not health care, insurance. This would be provided to the bottom 25% of wage earners, including people who have pre-existing conditions. You can't have a healthcare industry that's funded by health insurance, or a health insurance industry to be more exact, when you require them to cover pre-existing conditions. Why is that, Carrie? Because then if you require them to cover pre-existing conditions, I could just forego purchasing the insurance until something happens to me. Then I could show up at the doorstep of the insurance company and they could say, do you have any conditions currently? Yes. What do you have? I just broke my leg. Well, that's well, you have to cover that. As soon as I get covered for the broken leg, I could cancel, knowing full well that if I have another condition come up, I could then go out and purchase insurance again. So it's incompatible. So the way to solve it is you have a bottom 25% plus pre-existing conditions. That's going to be single payer government, and if it's crappy service, so be it. Whatever. And then for the top 75%, it's left to a completely open market, free market system.
Trump did not campaign on single payer. Trump did not, I repeat, did not campaign on single payer. Folks, this is Smith Radio, best 3 hours you ever spend anywhere. After the show, right after the last sound of the show, I'm going to play on Periscope a special 11-minute clip of the Francis Scott Key, why he wrote the National Anthem, where it came from, and the history of it all. Stay tuned right after you hear the last bit of yes, and I will play that. Oh, my goodness, folks. Thank you for hanging out with us 3 hours. We will be back to do this again. Follow us throughout the week because, man, we can't stop talking about this stuff.
Oh, man, you get a lot. You get an education from us.
Edumacations coming your way.
Support us, patreon.com/Smith Radio, and follow at Smith Radio and at Brian P. Smith right now on Twitter.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.